Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Yo, this is Rich Latta here. We are across the street from MSG.
NY, baby. New York City, Madison Square Garden. Hey, y'all boy, come on. Come on.
Man, Jeremy Donovan here from Keepin It Strong Style and Social Suplex. We're here with one half of the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions.
Hey, one half of Gorillas of Destiny, but one whole of Tama motherfucking Tonga, realest of the realest. Hey, ain't nobody realer than Gorilla.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we will be reviewing Destruction in Beppu and Kagoshima, Super J Cup, and answering your questions, as well as covering all the latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing to the Social Suplex Podcast Network on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts and columns over at socialsuplex.com. This episode of Keeping It Strong Style is brought to you by Powerslam TV. Powerslam TV is an independent wrestling streaming service with over 5,000 hours of wrestling from companies across the world. Use the promo code SOCIALSUPLEX to get your first month free. Also, make sure you check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt, as well as other t-shirts here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. And young boy, man, we got a lot of action to get into this week. A lot of people have been asking for the longer shows. I think they're going to get one of those tonight, especially we got Young Lions Cup matches.
They'll get what we give them. They will take it, and they will like it.
Oh, man.
Here's the thing, guys. We started this show. This is the 5th time I think we've started this show just now. To you, it's the first time, but something's wrong. Something's not right, because we've never had to restart a show ever.
Man, you're pulling back the curtains. Man.
I'm pulling back. We're breaking the fourth wall right now.
Kayfabe is dead.
Kayfabe is dead. How you doing, Colt Cabana?
Oh man.
And here's the thing. I think it's one of two things. Okay, it can only be one of these two things. Either this sound system is too good and it's screwing me up and it's making me like it bothers me. I can hear everything. I don't like hearing everything. I don't like to hear like in between words when I'm like breathing in. Like, I don't like all that. That's too much. It's like when you're watching like a TV show and it's like on a super HD TV and the people look like they're actually in the room with you. That's freaky. I don't like that. This sounds like me, and I don't like me. It's too much me. The other thing, it might just be Destruction. Like, Destruction, like, bro, our numbers are down. I'm just going to say it. Our numbers are down because we're covering Destruction.
Man, you're just throwing everything out there, bro.
When we were covering the G1, we had the highest numbers we ever had in our life. Then all of a sudden, they got freaking Tanahashi and Zack Sabre headlining for the 8th time, and our numbers are down. And so this just bothers me. And like,
yes, the number.
Fuck Destruction.
Yes, clearly there has not been a lot of interest in the Destruction shows compared to the G1, but
Whoa. I wouldn't say there's not a lot of interest. The numbers are still solid.
Yes, numbers still, I'm saying, but obviously compared to G1 Climax, I think the overall fan base has kind of, it's kind of been chilling out during the Destruction tour.
You know what it is? I miss Mox. There's no Mox. I miss him.
No Shooter. Well, there's Shooter Umino, but no Mox the lead Shooter.
I've been watching Shooter out there with his death stare.
Yes.
Just cold death stare Shooter.
I wish he would have still keep coming out with his Death Rider jacket.
That would be a real gimmick, sir. I don't think he's allowed to have a real gimmick yet.
Oh, man. But speaking of Shooter Umino, that's going to lead us into talk about the Young Lions Cup. So there was a lot of Young Lions Cup matches this week. They were on video on demand. So these Road to Destruction shows did not air live this week. And they only uploaded the Young Lions Cup matches to New Japan World.
I was bummed about that. I was trying to see, those 6-man tags with, Tenkozy and the Young Lions again for like the fourth and fifth time.
Trying to see Rocky, Okada, and Goto against Shingo, Bushi, and Sonata.
I was trying to see that 6-man with Hama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't get enough of it for the first few nights.
But these matches were uploaded to New Japan World. No commentary, just the two Young Lions matches.
That's how I like my Young Lions matches during the Young Lions Cup.
Throwback to the Lionsgate Project kind of style of filming these shows.
By the way, what happened to Lionsgate Project? Why are they not doing those anymore?
I don't know, man. We need to talk to Blue Justice. Get him on the line.
I'll just call Harold. I would call Michael, but I don't know if he knows anything anymore.
Look, I don't need our podcast getting heat with Michael Craven.
Nobody takes our podcast seriously.
So September 10th, we had Carl Fredericks defeating Yuya Uemura and Shooter Umino defeating Michael Richards. Thought both of these matches were all right. Fredericks, once again, just continues to impress and looks really good. Uemura on a losing streak right now, failing to get any wins right now. And Carl Fredericks tapped him out with a very deep single leg Boston Crab on Uemura. 6 minutes and 15 seconds.
I do have to say this before we move on. As good as Fredericks looks, and he deserves all the praise in the world because he's that awesome, to me, Yuya Uemura is starting to emerge during this tournament as in the same way that we looked at Narita 2 years ago when he was in this tournament. Like the guy that like lost every match but like is freaking killing it in defeat. Like, there's this time where like I think we were both way higher on Tsuji than we were than Uemura for a bit there.
Yeah.
I think I'm coming around on the
dude. Tsuji, I mean, we'll get to some of his matches here, but Tsuji has not really impressed me all that much in this tournament.
Uemura's always been impressive with his wrestling like acumen. We've always said that, but like, man, he's becoming really well rounded, and I'm like, dang, like Uemura's kind of that dude right now.
Yeah, that dude.
That dude.
So then we had Shota Umino and Michael Richards. This was a good match. Umino mainly dominated this match over Michael Richards, from the Fale Dojo. Clearly at the kind of bottom of the pecking order among all these young lions, and try to put up a good fight here, but Umino puts him away with the Fisherman Suplex. And, I really want to see Umino attempt a Death Rider to get a win.
I don't think he's going to do that.
Like, I get maybe him not using it, but at least, like, hooking the arms and, like, attempting it and failing.
I'm pretty sure he'd get beat to death, like, for even trying to use that move.
I don't know. I think it'd be a nice little...
no, his senpai would never allow it.
What do you mean? John Moxley would allow that.
Would he?
Why not?
Because he can't use the Death Rider. That's John Moxley's move.
Well, he can use it in the meantime. Or he can do like the low angle version, not the elevated version.
The Dirty Deeds?
Yeah. He
can't use that either. He's a young lion. He gets to use a Boston Crab, and every now and again he gets a Fisherman. That's it.
Then on September 11th, we had Clark Connors defeating Yota Tsuji And then we had Ren Narita defeating Alex Coughlin. So Connors and Tsuji, man, I'm really loving how Clark Connors has been looking this tournament, man. His chops have been absolutely killer.
Brutal.
Sounding off, man.
Brutal.
And Tsuji's chops have been weak.
Yeah, and we said that last week. I don't want to belabor the point, but it is strange that this guy came off as such a bruiser for so much of, almost the entire calendar year last year, and even early into this year. I mean, Tsuji was looking great, and something seems to be kind of missing there. Something has kind of shifted with Tsuji. I don't know what it is. I don't want to say he's not progressing, because he actually looks not as good as he did before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what do you think it is?
I don't know. I don't know if maybe they're purposely kind of aging the match for him to look kind of weaker compared to the LA Young Lions based on the story they have going on, or
I don't know, man.
Maybe he's just having off tournament. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what it is, but I mean, there's so many times we've seen Tsuji perform at a high level, and he doesn't seem to be, matching. And the thing is here too, let's not get it twisted. These are not epic wars, super long matches. They're 6 to 8 minute matches.
Right. Yeah. This match was 7 minutes and 20 seconds.
He's not showing the goods the way he normally does, just in a standard, single 6 to 8 minute match. And I'm kind of surprised by that, to be honest with you. I really am. I mean, Tsuji's one of my favorite guys. He's definitely the best bruiser and brawler out of all those guys, but he's not showing it in this tournament. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah. But Connor's looking really great, and having that background. He trained with Lance Storm at the Storm Wrestling Academy, and Shibata's just polished him up even more. I don't know. I kind of get a little bit of Crispin Wall vibes from him.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just from the build and the way he chops and the way he kind of moves. So yeah, really digging Clark Connors. And then Ren Narita picking up the win here on Alex Coughlin with his suplex. And on commentary, I guess they mentioned today on Kagoshima that he's been coming up with all these different Narita specials. So I guess Narita Special 1 is the leg lace into the cross-legged Boston Crab. And then I think Narita Special 2 is this belly-to-belly suplex here that he uses, and he pinned Coughlin.
The overhead?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think that is? Do you think that's Nagata influence?
Yeah. Is Nagata his... So I know Tsuji's with Tanahashi.
Well, I'm just saying because the Nagata Lock 1, the Nagata Lock 2, Nagata Lock 3, Nagata Lock 4.
Yeah, it could be. But I kind of like that.
I'm gonna start implementing that into my life as well, the Joshua Special 1. But these will be real menial things in my life, not actual wrestling related, just trademark things that I do. I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
Play the guitar, Joshua Special 1.
No, something more menial than that. I don't know. After I get done with the lunch, the way I toss my stuff into the garbage, I'll do it in a very distinct way and be like, Joshua Special 1. Something like that. I don't know. I haven't thought it out yet.
Yeah, but I really like this matchup, man. Narita has been looking really great in this tournament, and just completely fired up here. And yeah, man, I don't know what else to say about it, but we've been on the Narita bandwagon for a while now, and just once again proving why he's one of the top in the class right now.
Yeah, I mean, Narita not only is fantastic, which we have always alluded to. I still think he is, in my opinion, the most complete performer out of all these guys. But doing extremely well in the tournament. Right at sitting at the top of the win bracket here. So he's got a good chance to still take the victory when it comes to the Young Lions Cup. And I don't think he will, but I would love it if he did.
Yeah, I would, dude. I would pop huge if Narita gets a win.
I might get emotional.
So we move on to September 12th. Narita in action again. This time Narita is taking on Yota Tsuji. And this was a very good back and forth competitive match here. Went about 8 minutes between these two guys here. Narita hits once again the Narita Special Suplex on the big man.
Yep.
And so
those are my thoughts. Yep.
Then we had a battle of the LA Dojo Young Lions with Carl Fredericks and Alex Coughlin. And both of these guys looked great in this. And this was a great match. I'm loving the LA Dojo Young Lions going up against each other here. And, Carl has kind of been the one that's been kind of getting all the attention. But Connors and Alex Coughlin are pretty much just on the same level as him as well. I mean, Carl Fredericks might have a better look. Might be
when it comes to performing.
Yeah. I think all three of those guys are studs, and Coughlin looked really good in this match. This was kind of our first look at Coughlin in this tournament. We've seen Fredericks and Connors on the G1, and so it's been good getting a look at Connors, seeing what he's made of, and had a really good match here with Carl Fredericks, but ends up falling to the single leg crab. Then we have Shota Umino against Yuya Uemura. Once again, Uemura takes the loss, and he's just not racking up any wins in this tournament, which is a little surprising that Uemura would be kind of the one that's going down. I think I mentioned last week, I would have Michael Richards kind of being the one at the bottom of the bracket.
Well, they're both at the bottom of the bracket.
Yeah.
And I mean, so is Tsuji as well. I actually think, I don't know if you remember the first time we previewed this, I think we'd mentioned that Tsuji as well as Uemura, we thought that they'd be pretty low on the totem pole, just given, that they're the most junior of all the young lions, aside from the lions from overseas or, from the international dojos. But it does seem like they're pushing the LA dojo young lions to a degree. And so that, they've kind of bracketed them on the same even playing level as Michael Richards, which makes sense to me.
Yeah. So Umino picked up the win there with the Fisherman Suplex, and we had Clark Connors against Michael Richards. This was fine. Again, I really have not been, really digging Michael Richards in this tournament. Like we mentioned last week, clear skill gap between him and the rest of the guys in this tournament. But I mean, that's just the experience level he's at. And, he's doing fine for the time he has in there, but clearly he's, nowhere near the other guys.
Well, now with that being said, we're basically looking at Yuya Uemura's at 2 points, Michael Richards is at 2 points, Yota Tsuji's at 2 points, Alex Coughlin has 4 points, Clark Connors has 6 points. Everybody is almost effectively eliminated. I believe Clark Connors has a very, very outside chance, but it's highly unlikely with only 4 points remaining for him to be able to obtain, even if he won his last two matches. I think it's an outside chance that he can even win. Ren Narita sitting at 8 points, tied with Carl Fredericks and Shota Umino. But with that being the case, it looks like, did Narita lose to Fredericks and Umino?
No, Narita beat Fredericks.
Okay, and he lost to Umino.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're basically at a 3-way tie right now with Narita, Fredericks, and Umino. And Clark Connors does have an outside chance, but I mean, things would have to go like perfect for him and, for the rest of it. So those are like the only 4 guys that are still alive. To me, it looks like exactly what we predicted, like Shota Umino and Carl Fredericks, who are the 2 favorites going into this, are the 2 like guys remaining alive like at the very end here.
Yeah. So
and they haven't wrestled yet. They're wrestling on the final night. Is that correct?
Yep, on Destruction in Kobe.
So I think that's obviously the very obvious final there.
Yeah. So then we move on to the first big Destruction show of the weekend. From Sunday, we have Destruction in Beppu. And we opened up with more Young Lions Cup matches. We had Carl Fredericks defeating Yota Tsuji, locking in that half crab. He seems to be doing a little combo where he hits the spine buster into that single leg crab, locks it in deep, and gets the win here. I thought it was a really good opener that put Fredericks up on top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, I thought this was good.
Then we also had Shota Umino versus Alex Coughlin, and I really enjoyed this match. These guys were at a good pace, and just really good back and forth action here. Coughlin had an awesome gut wrench suplex in the match, and we already know how Umino does. And showed great fire. Both guys showed great fire in this match, and Umino hitting the Fisherman Suplex to get the win there and get to 8 points. Then we move on to some more undercard action. We had Ren Narita, Yuya Mora, Taguchi, and Yuji Nagata taking on Michael Richards, Clark Connors, Toa Hanare, and Nakanishi. And we have Yuji Nagata's team getting the win. And I believe it was, Taguchi had the ankle lock in on Richards to pick up the win for the team there. Then we move on to Sho, Yo, and Jushin Liger taking on Minoru Suzuki, Kanemaru, and Doki. And the biggest thing here is just the continuation of heating up Suzuki and Liger. We had Doki getting pinned here by Roppongi 3K after eating a 3K. But the most notable thing here is what happened after the match. Suzuki attacks Liger and tries to unmask Liger. And then the Young Lions try to make the save. But he destroys the Young Lions, and Liger gets on the mic and tells Suzuki, let's fight right now. But Suzuki just kind of laughs and walks off to the back. And they're doing an excellent job of building this up, and I'm ready for it to happen.
Yeah, I'm sitting here, watching this, just thinking to myself, is this the feud of the year? With no matches except for some multi-man matches. And even those multi-man matches, even though there have been heat segments, as far as like post-match shenanigans and pre-match shenanigans, like nothing really, really notable that you can like point your finger to. But like, when was the last time like a match like was purposely built with this much anticipation, like long term in New Japan or maybe any company? I mean, just think about that. Like, I don't know, Rock and Cena,
Yeah, they held off for a year, but I mean, they didn't really build it though. It was like they announced the match was going to happen, and then Cena just feuded with random people until it was WrestleMania season. Yeah,
I mean, this is one of the like most purposely like booked and built like feuds of the year. That's why like when people keep like proposing Liger that has other opponents for his final match, I'm like, no, it can't be anybody but Suzuki. Look at what they're doing here.
Yeah,
and I want to see this match so badly.
And missed a question here. We had a question from Sir Sam asking, where does Aussie powerhouse and Bullet Club mouthpiece Gino Gambino rank in the commentary hierarchy? Behind Rocky, but above Jim Ross? So we had Gino Gambino on the tour here for commentary. What have you been thinking about Gino Gambino?
It's funny that you mentioned that because I actually think Gino Gambino does a fantastic job.
Bro, I love him on commentary.
I do. It's funny. His voice, I don't know why, like his projection, it's not what you would call, in my opinion, a classic broadcasting voice. I know he does, obviously he's got an Aussie accent, which is, and I think to many people, like, what's the word? People find that appealing, you know what I mean? So that he has that going for him. But, I don't think like his voice really carries the way that maybe some other like classic commentators do. But with that being said, he's super insightful. His timing is great. His humor is really good. He seems to know quite a bit about the product. He doesn't come off as like a knave or a noob, somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. There are times where it seems like Kevin Kelly has to kind of wrangle him in just a bit. I would even say that it's a little bit apparent that he's somewhat inexperienced. Like there's just a couple small things I notice he does that like some more seasoned broadcasters don't do, but they're so minuscule. They're so like, you'd really have to be paying attention to it. Overall, I think he's one of the best guys that they've got on commentary in New Japan. And, those small little like insignificant things I mentioned aside, like I think he's great.
Yeah, he's been cracking me up. I think just the way he inflects on certain words and just the chemistry that him and Kevin Kelly have been great. And so, yeah, I'm definitely down for more Gino Gambino.
What do you feel about when he's calling like the Bullet Club stuff? Do you think like him kind of switching into that character in the middle of it like suits him? Because I actually I think it's kind of funny, but I also think it sometimes comes feeling like off base, like maybe he's not actually part of the Bullet Club or something. Like,
no, I think I like it. It kind of reminds me of Don Callis, when Kenny would be out there, or somebody that an Impact, or
You missed my joke.
when Tessa was out. Are you trying to say he's not part of the Bullet Club?
Yeah.
Gino Gambino, sir, is a proud member of the Bullet Club.
He keeps trying to cop for them, and it just feels like, I don't know, like maybe he's not actually part of those guys. Like he's not. It's a gimmick, and he's not really living that gimmick. That's what it feels like to me.
Well, speaking of Bullet Club, they were in the following match. We had ELP, Ishimori, Yujiro, Kenta, and Bad Luck Fale defeating the team of Robbie Eagles, Will Ospreay, Honma, Makabe, and Ibushi. And I believe it was this match that Gino Gambino got involved and held somebody to get chopped during the middle of the match here. And we just had Bullet Club kind of picking up momentum.
Yeah, he's ride or die for them.
Going into Kagoshima. Then we had their LIJ six-man here with Sanada, Bushi, and Shingo taking on Okada, Goto, and Rocky Romero, with Sanada picking up the win with the team, hitting the Skull End. Really good match there. Once again, hyping up King of Pro Wrestling with Sanada and Okada, and then hyping up Kobe with Shingo and Goto.
And also, continuing one of the greatest feuds in all of New Japan, Rocky Romero and Bushi.
Yeah.
The hate is real, sir.
Yes. Then we had Naito and Evil taking on Jay White and Chase Owens. We got a Destino for the win here on Chase Owens, and Naito and Jay White continue to kind of play mind games with each other and posing at each other and winking at each other, smiling at each other. I'm waiting for one of these guys to ask each other out on a date.
Yeah, this isn't, I don't know. Is this doing anything for you?
Not really.
Bro, it's not doing anything for me. And I'm a big Naito fan. I'm a big Jay White fan. And this feels like one of the flattest builds for either of these guys for a match in a really long time. I don't have any. It's weird. Bro, all last year, remember how many times we talked about how protected this match was, and we could see this being a potential dome match or a G1 final, and then they gave it away to us in the B Block final, and since then, I don't even really want to see it again. And this build, of all the things that they're building on this Destruction tour, this is the weirdest thing. And I don't know. Do you think the fanboys, like the LIJ fanboys, or the Switchblade fans are really into this sort of thing? I mean, I haven't seen what other people are saying.
I mean, a lot of people have been kind of making the same jokes as me. There's some sexual tension between these guys, and
there's a huge audience of the fan base, especially the women that probably love that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's somebody right now on some dark corner of Reddit writing a fan fiction of what happened with Naito and Jay White. But yeah, man, I really haven't.
Fantasy booking 101.
Yeah,
the new Golden Lovers.
Yeah, I really haven't been feeling the build to this matchup here. Honestly, I think LIJ
fans. No heat, man.
Yeah, I think LIJ fans are just worried that Jay White's winning next week.
Bro, I could see that happening. I can really see that happening. Pretty hard. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, now we move on to the semi-main event of this show. We had the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team title match. The champions, the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa, defending against the Chaos Challengers of Yoshihashi and Tomohiro Ishii. They've done a great job in the build-up of this match and telling the story of Yoshihashi never winning a title in his pro wrestling career.
That's right, he shouldn't.
They also highlighted the previous time that Yoshihashi and Tomohiro Ishii had challenged Girls of Destiny, and it was Yoshihashi who ate the pin in that matchup there. And
that's right, he should.
And failed to win there. So, I gotta say, man, I really enjoyed this tag team match here.
Yeah, I was watching it, and throughout the entire match, I was just like, wow, this is this one of the best tag team matches I've seen in New Japan all year? I know, in a post, in a post Young Bucks, post Golden Lovers tag team division, the world we live in today, the bar is not quite as high, but dude, I thought this was one of the best tag, as far as the heavyweight tag division, and actually probably both divisions, honestly. Mm-hmm. This was one of the best tag team matches of the entire year.
Yeah, and we've mentioned it. I think we mentioned it last week and maybe a couple podcasts ago, but Guerrillas of Destiny, they have been on fire this year. They've been having a really great year all over the board in Ring of Honor, on indie dates and Defy, and here in New Japan, being Ring of Honor tag champs, IWGP tag champs. These guys have just kicked it up a gear. Tama Tonga said he was, not being in the G1 to focus on tag team wrestling, and I think that there's some, definitely some truth to that, because these guys have just been on another level this year.
I definitely think that was smart of him, too. That's a way to get out of having to eat like 6 or 7 pinfalls. It's interesting, man. In a match where you have Tomohiro Ishii, one of the best big match performers, all-around performers of his generation, and frankly, any generation, and then you put him in there with Tama Tonga, Tanga Loa, and Yoshihashi. It's pretty extraordinary that, like, my real talking points have nothing to do hardly with Tomohiro Ishii, and they completely revolve around God and completely revolve around Yoshihashi. Everybody was great in this match, including Ishii, but, like, man, the heat segment from God on Ishii was really compelling. Like, it was so unexpected. Like, you don't expect, like, Yoshihashi to be the hot tag guy. And not only that, but God, man, they're becoming, like, they're gelling so well and, like, doing a lot of really flashy, innovative offense. As much as we've, like, come down on, Tama Tonga as a singles competitor, he always impresses me as a tag team guy.
He thrives in the tag kind of scene, and him and his brother have just been gelling so much better since they first started teaming in New Japan.
Yeah.
There was one spot in this match where I was about to lose my mind, where Yoshihashi gets that horrible butterfly lock in on Tama Tonga.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like set up to look like Tama was going to tap, and I was like, no. This can't be. But luckily, Tangaloa came in, made the save there. Then they kind of can keep going to the match. Jado kind of gets involved there. We have Jado nailing Yoshihashi with the kendo stick. Kind of going back and forth some more until we have Kenta arriving with his fresh dye job. Arrives, he distracts Yoshihashi, and then Tama Tonga cradles him up with the tights for the win here.
Yeah, and Yoshihashi definitely, he took the pinfall here, but you know what? I thought that he had an excellent match. I mean, the entire story about him never having won any championship of any sort in New Japan, like, really added a lot of, like, I don't know what the word is. Man, why am I so tired tonight? There was just
add layers to it, maybe
not layers, but there was like a sense of urgency. There's like a sense of urgency, like he would, like they could definitely do this sort of thing, But the idea that, like, even though him and Ishii have tagged together, like their relative inexperience, going up against this, 5-time World Tag Team Championship, these guys that are brothers, these guys that exclusively do this, is like, how do you overcome that sort of combination? And yeah, I mean, they did a fantastic job, like, keeping these guys separated the entire match. And then
God was, like, throwing everything at them. They hit the Magic Killer, Tongan Twist, pretty much any, like, combo move they've used as finishes in the past, they were, like, busting out here in this match.
Yeah, and there was even a moment at the end where it just came down to Tama Tonga and Yoshihashi, and it felt like Yoshihashi was about to pick up this win, and I was like, oh my, like, yeah, that butterfly lock, even though I hate the butterfly lock, that was one big moment. And then, he was hitting everything. He's hitting, lariats, super kicks.
Yeah, that Western lariat.
Yeah, bro. And even though I don't like Yoshihashi, he's got the best Western lariat. Like, he just does. Like, it's incredible. He hit a running Meteora at one point, and, the Kamaguroshi, like, yeah, he and then he got rolled up like a fucking geek.
Yes.
Because that's what he is.
Yes.
And literally every cool thing that he did in that match became not cool immediately. And God, reigned supreme.
Yeah, and this was a really good match. And honestly, that finish kind of killed it.
It did. That finish brought it down.
Yeah, it definitely brought it down. I'm probably like 375 on it.
I was close to that, but I'm like almost 3.5 because of the finish. But I could probably go 3.
I would have probably gone 4 if they had a clean finish.
Probably. The match was good, man.
Yeah, like,
it was really good.
Like, I get, Bullet Club's gonna cheat, but at least like set it up into the finisher. Like maybe have him hit the gun stun after the distraction or something like that.
I almost every time though that God continues to beat guys, I just keep wondering like, well, who's next? Because it doesn't feel ever like there is anybody that's next.
Mm-hmm.
And you can keep feeding guys to them, but they need to establish somebody. They just do, like, remember like the time like we used to complain about like how often we'd see them against like
War Machine and KES.
Yeah, KS and
Evil Sonata.
Yeah, like you almost wish for those days. Like they had a division at least somewhat, and now it's like who's in the tag division?
Tenkozy.
barely. I don't even know who's gonna be in this World Tag League. Yeah, I do. It's gonna be all the same guys that are in it every year.
Yeah. But yeah, really good tag match here. Wish I had a better finish, but good stuff from these guys.
The only thing that I will say is it plays into obviously what happened at Royal Quest with Kenta and God helping him win the Never Openweight title, so he repaid the favor. So there are good storytelling elements there, and it does play into the the next evening. So even though in a vacuum it kind of brought the star quality of that individual match down, from a storytelling element it did make sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the whole story they've been telling since Kenta joined the Bullet Club was him kind of linking up with God. So been carrying that story out throughout Royal Quest and now here and on to Kagoshima as well. So then we have the main event of the evening for the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship as the champion Hiroshi Tanahashi defends against the challenger Zack Sabre Jr. These guys have been wrestling each other several times this year. Right now, going into this match, Tanahashi was leading the series 4-3 out of the 7 matches they've had altogether. I believe this was their 4th match this year. So just one of these matches that New Japan's just been killing this year.
So they had the MSG match. They had the New Japan Cup match.
And the G1 match.
Yeah,
they had a G1 match.
So they had an MSG match. This is their 5th match this year. 5th.
Wow.
Because think about it. They had a New Japan Cup match.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said they had a G1 match.
Yeah.
And they wrestled in England. And they wrestled in Madison Square Garden, which we were there. That's 4. This is the 5th match this year.
Wow.
Holy crap. And they'd only had 3 matches prior to that. Wow. Dang.
Yeah.
Dang, bro. Dang.
So, yeah, killing it. This match, killing it to death.
Killing it in what way? Killing it in, like, they're having great matches, so they're killing it? Or killing it like they're overdoing it? Because I you know what? I'll just say it. I'm on the total opposite side. I think that I've loved this series.
I've loved their matches. I love this series, but it's just like I kind of wish there was some time to breathe between Royal Quest and this one.
That's true. That is something they don't usually do a lot of. Like, yes, they do a lot of rematches throughout a calendar year in New Japan, but not usually on back-to-back tours like this. Why do you think that is? Do you think it has anything to do with what's going on with Tanahashi and his health? Could that be part of it?
I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those things where, like we talked about last week, they wanted to do the surprise title win in England and then, change some things up for the next tour. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Well, we go into this. This is their 8th match ever, and yeah.
Yeah, and it was a really great match. As much as people complain how much it happened, in me complaining about the quickness, this was a great match. Honestly, I think this was one of their best matches that they've had together. Telling just a great story. Actually, they've been kind of telling the same story in a lot of their matches, just with Tanahashi wanting to out-wrestle Zack Sabre. And I feel like they emphasize it more and more and more the more they wrestle. And clearly in this match, Tanahashi was, trying to out-wrestle Sabre. And I feel like his goal in this match, he wanted to submit Zack Sabre Jr. And I think it was kind of that, kind of going away from the normal game plan and wanting to go for submission win is what kind of got Tanahashi in trouble here.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that you say that, it's funny because I actually had almost sort of a different take. My take on it was, originally I was going to say that stylistically the matches are similar, but from a story standpoint, they're all very different. They're wrestled different, different style, same style, but different stories, Yeah. But once you started mentioning, I think you're right, the broad overarching story is the idea that Tanahashi is trying to out-wrestle Sabre. Although, if you think about it, though, Tanahashi had to resort to the big impact moves and his finishers to win the title, back in England.
Right.
So you might have something there for sure. I thought this match was great. I rewatched it today because after I watched it, I thought it was really good, but I didn't feel like I was giving it full attention. So I listened to some reviews, I listened to some opinions, and I heard quite a few negative things about it. And so once I rewatched it, I was still pretty high on it. I do think that Zach did stall quite a bit in the early goings, and I can see how that might have detracted from some people's enjoyment, especially if you're not a big fan of this style of wrestling, because it's not everybody's cup of tea. But I don't know, man. I think Tanahashi and Zack Sabre are so good at taking this style and making it so interesting, so entertaining. Everything they do is crisp. Everything they do has meaning and, builds upon one another. Like they're just good wrestlers.
Right, yeah. They have great chemistry. Their matches are laid together really well. Always have an excellent pace in all their matches. Great layout. And like I mentioned, it's again, great chemistry. They're able to call back, one of the benefits of wrestling each other so many times this year, they're able to call back to spots in the previous matches, get some near falls, near submissions off of stuff like that. And, the one key spot in this match where I kind of picked up, I felt like Tanahashi was kind of abandoning the game plan was towards the end where he hits the sling blade. He goes up to the high fly flow. He gets it to the back, and normally he would go up to the top and try and hit it again. But instead, he goes for the modified cloverleaf and tries to get the submission win instead of trying to hit that high fly flow and getting the win.
I thought about that too. I thought it was interesting that he didn't go to the top, but I just thought it was one of those stupid things like when somebody hits a finisher and then they pin the guy next to the rope, and I'm like, come on, bro. That guy's foot's going to go on the ropes.
Right.
Like, I just chalked it up to that. But you're right, there is a story element there. Like he should have gone for another impact move, but instead he did go for a submission. And I don't know, maybe it was just like his own hubris. Like he was trying to put that feather in his cap, being able to say like, I've submitted this, wrestling, submission master, and like obviously he didn't.
Yeah, Sabre was able to fight out of that Boston Crab, which led to the kind of closing stretch there. Tanahashi going for a straight jacket German. Sabre gets up, counters out into a cradle. They keep trading counters into a pin attempt until Sabre finally gets a banana split cradle to get the win there.
Yeah, and the interesting there, and it was real notable, was, all throughout the year, Tanahashi has kind of been hearkening back to a lot of like Fujinami's, maneuvers to kind of win, especially we saw it during the New Japan Cup and different things like that. And then at the end of this match, he started they were trying to both put on the what's it called? The Cobra Twist, which, that's essentially Antonio Inoki's finishing hold. And so I think that like the idea that Sabre has talked about how like Sabreism is like the top thing, and he is the guy that actually represents what strong style really is.
Yeah.
And strong style is dead, and now it's Sabreism. And then Tanahashi being the savior of New Japan and being that representative, I think it was almost like a poetic thing that he was trying to put the Cobra Twist on him. And it does harken to the story that you were also mentioning of him wanting to win by submission. And then at the end of it, like, Sabre's like, screw this, I'm not trying to go for a Cobra Twist. He's like, eat this cradle, eat this, banana split, 1, 2, 3. And he was just so giddy. He's like the happiest little kid ever that he regained his British heavyweight title. And And I don't know, man. I get it. I know everyone was calling for him to win it. It makes sense. I'm not salty about it. I just wonder, like, why did you put the belt on Tanahashi in the first place? It seems like kind of like, actually, I got a problem with Gato. This is some WWE bullshit right here. This is some WWE 50-50 booking. Not only is it 50-50, but think about this. This man, Sabre, lost in his hometown and then turns around and beats Tanahashi in Japan. That's some WWE shit right there. That's not cool, Gato.
Oh, man.
Not feeling that.
Then we had the Sabre post-match promo. Says he's planning on being the next prime minister, and he also says that he wants to be the Triple Crown champion. He wants to go into Wrestle Kingdom and win the IC and IWGP title, be the first ever British IWGP champion. So he's going to throw the IC title into the river. And so now we got a new name, throwing his name in the hat for this title match.
What do you think about all these guys that like keep being like the IC title's worthless? Let's throw it away.
I don't know. Maybe it's signs in that they're going to unify it, or I don't know.
I think they need to start scripting these guys out a bit more.
Need to get some agents.
They need to get some agents. They need to get some scripting because these guys are out here wilding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this match was good. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I went 4.5 stars on this.
I think I was 4.5. I think I'm probably, after rewatching it, maybe like 4.25, but still really, really great match.
We had a question here from Reddit user Zach Saber Time. He says, where would you rate that awesome Sabre Tanahashi match? And he says, I think it's easily their second best in their rivalry. I agree with you, Zach Saber Time. I definitely think this is one of their better matches. To me, it kind of leans on being probably one of the better ones, one of the best of the series. What do you think, young boy?
I don't know if I could totally agree with that. I mean, obviously, given the rating I just gave it, like 4.25, there were some things that I kind of felt about it. I did think it was a bit slow in the beginning, and I thought that there was a lot of stalling. And some of their other matches have had more of a surprise element and almost felt more important. This, even though the action was good, it felt, like you mentioned, there was not enough time for me to really get super excited about this because we're coming right off the back of the match in England. And even when that match was announced, it was like, really, again? It feels a little soon. Yeah. So it's like the fifth. It's hard for me to, no matter how good the match was, it's hard for me to feel like this was really one of their best matches when it's the fifth time we saw it this year. And I'm not usually one to complain about giving us, I mean, it's double-edged. On the one hand, you don't want to complain too much because they're giving us an incredible main event time after time after time. But then, sometimes too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. And so I wish there was a little bit more breathing room with this. So I don't think I would say that personally, but I thought it was still a fantastic match.
Yep. Next question from Dan Coffin from the Wrestling Squared Circle. Says, how do you feel about Tanahashi losing the British Championship back to ZSJ so quickly? I think we kind of touched on that, but yeah, not a huge fan of this booking. I wish that they would have at least given Tanahashi one successful title defense and maybe push this match off, maybe do at King of Pro Wrestling, or
I think what happened is Gato and Tanahashi, they caught wind of the business practices of Rev Pro and the way they handle everything with their wrestlers and their referees, and they're like, we don't want to soil your hands with that. Let's get the belt off Tanahashi. we don't want to be associated with that. No, I don't know. I just thought it was strange. I mean, I'm sure at the end of the day, Rev Pro's happy to have Tanahashi as one of their, in the lineage of their championship, but I just don't know really what the point was. I guess just giving Tanahashi that big win in England.
Yeah, I think it was just a moment.
It's a moment.
Like, surprise title change.
They did it for a moment.
Yeah.
Which was great, but long term, I guess it doesn't really mean much.
Right, especially to interrupt Sabre's super long title reign.
I mean, I don't know. They used to do that. Here's the funny thing. They used to do that with Ric Flair all the time. Like, if you really, do the math, Ric Flair was NWA champion for, almost 10 years with, he lost it 7 or 8 times in that 10 years. But if you really do the math, I think he wasn't champion for 6 months of the entire time. like it was not very long. Like no one held that belt very long. So it's not a big deal.
Then we had a question from Muzza. Do you think we will see a rematch between Tana and ZSJ happening most likely at Rev Pro?
Hopefully, if they do, it'll be like in a couple years.
Yeah, these guys do not need to wrestle each other again this year. If it's gonna happen anytime soon, it needs to be like further on next year. Honestly, I wouldn't have them wrestle again until G1 next year if they're gonna be in the same block.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
But who knows?
Thanks for the memory. Yeah, we like I'm ready for them to move on and wrestle other people.
It's not me, it's you. Let's wrestle other people.
Yes.
But all right, that wraps up Beppu. Now we're gonna move on to Kagoshima, where we had some more Young Lions Cup action here. Open things up here. Get my notes up real quick. Here we go. Kagoshima opened up with Yuya Mora and Clark Connors going at it 9 minutes and 25 seconds with Yumura finally picking up a big win here. And I freaking loved this match. This is one of my favorite matches of the tournament, right next to Umina and Narita. These guys were fired up intensity. Yumura was equaling the fire with Connors with the chops, and these guys just went out here, worked a pretty fast pace, stiff strikes. Obviously, Umura was the underdog, not having any wins at all. Clark Connors, LA Dojo, they've been kind of pushing him throughout this tournament, and he's been looking great. And Umura came from behind and got the big win with that double overhook belly-to-belly suplex. And I just love the fire that these guys had in this match. It was a really good matchup. Yeah,
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think you did a fantastic job kind of like surmising what happened here. I was actually almost ready for Yumura to maybe not even pick up a win till the end of the tournament, honestly, at this point. But, they have their booking. Gato has his methods. He needed to, kind of balance some stuff out here. So it kind of makes sense why he had him go over Clark Connors. But, yeah, a really enjoyable match. And, I mean, again, these Young Lion matches, they've just been freaking awesome.
Yeah.
They're just awesome.
And made a mistake there. He didn't win off the belly to belly. He eventually got him in the Boston Crab there and dragged him in the middle and got the submission win there. But yeah, great stuff from Yumura and Connors. And then we move on to Ren Narita taking on Michael Richards. Narita getting the win here with the Narita special suplex. Once again, Narita getting a suplex on a bigger person than him.
And not only that, but like he pretty much dominated the match. Like, this is the closest thing I think we've seen in this tournament to a squash.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Richards didn't get much in. It was pretty much a highlight for Narita.
He got eaten alive, boys and girls.
Yep, so another good matchup there. So then we move on to the rest of the undercard. We had Nagata, Taguchi, and Umino and Yota Tsuji versus Nakanishi, Toa Hanare, Carl Fredericks, and Alex Coughlin. One thing that they've been kind of mentioning with Toa Hanare about him going over to Thailand and training Muay Thai. So I'm wondering where they're going to go with that.
I was training Muay Thai today.
Yeah,
because I'm a legit shooter.
Maybe we can we set up a fight, you and Toa Hanare?
Heck no.
But come on, man, got to use those fighting skills.
Nah, chill.
But yeah, this was a fine matchup here. We had Nakanishi, Toa Hanare, Fredericks, and Coughlin getting the win here after Toa hit the Toa bottom on Yota Tsuji. Then we had Ishii, Yoshihashi, Sho, and Yo taking on G.O.D., Fale, and Chase Owens. And surprising thing here, we had Yo cradling up Tangaloa for the win here. So Roppongi 3K, the junior tag team, pins the heavyweight tag team champions. And G.O.D. did not take this very lightly, attacking Yo post-match. Tama Tonga wore him out with the kendo stick. So it looks like we could potentially be setting up another Roppongi 3K G.O.D. match.
I mean, I saw the first one in Dallas. I was there, and I love Roppongi 3K, but they got worked, bro.
They did.
They got worked bad.
but maybe they're kind of trying to tell a like a Will Ospreay-esque story here, where the more they wrestle heavyweights, the better they're getting, and there will be a better challenge the next time.
I don't like that. I don't like the way you're doing that. Like, you're making it sound like New Japan books this stuff out and actually has intentions. They're just falling into this stuff. It's all coincidental. There's no such thing as long-term booking, and that's some bullcrap that New Japan fans just make up. It's not real. It's not real. No, yeah, actually, I mean, all joking aside, do you think that this is an indication that that's where they're going? Do you think that, because we have seen Sho and Yo pick up cradle wins in multi-man matches over heavier opponents before.
Right, and especially during their run. Didn't they have like a never six-man run with them and Rocky?
Yeah.
I remember they beat like...
I don't know if they won the titles. I don't think they did, but they were definitely like facing a lot of guys.
Right, and they're facing like a KES team that they were beating all the time.
Yeah, it was KES and Isuka.
Yeah. And I remember, they pinned. It was Isuka they pinned, right?
They pinned Isuka a few times.
Yeah. So yeah, Roppongi 3K have picked up heavyweight wins in the past, but I mean, like we mentioned earlier when we were talking about the Beppu match, it's like what teams are left there? I mean, Ishii and Yoshihashi, Ishii and Yano, like, are you going to run those teams again? Or, I mean, they're clearly having Evil and Sonata in singles roles right now. Like, are you going to put?
Well, we were definitely discussing, the state of the heavyweight tag division, so it would make sense why they might go to Roppongi 3K. Especially with them both coming off of such strong showings during like the Best of Super Juniors and the J Cup, so that does kind of make sense. It's just it seems like it kind of came from out of nowhere. Like suddenly they're like, back in July they couldn't hang with these guys, but suddenly like they pick up a surprise win, like pinfall over the heavyweight tag team champions. Like, I don't know. I'm sure the matches between them would be phenomenal, though, if they're allowed to like really
give them some time.
Give time.
And Dow said they didn't have much time to work.
Sure, it's like 6 minutes.
Yeah, so I think a 15-minute match between both these teams could be really great. And yeah, I'm curious to see, maybe are they leading to a junior tag title versus heavyweight titles? Like, will Roppongi 3K eventually get the junior titles back, and then you do Roppongi 3K versus GOD at Wrestle Kingdom for both the belts?
I'm not that hopeful. I don't think they're going to do anything like that, honestly. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Roppongi 3K step up and challenge for the heavyweight belts. I mean, that's happened before. We've seen it with the Bucks and different people like that. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Did you feel like when GOD were attacking Yo post-match that was an indication that might be where they're heading, or you think it was just one of those random, like, we're bad guys, so we're going to beat you up?
No, I think it's some indication into telling that story. They were getting some heat on Yo. I think they're just trying to get over how frustrating it is for heavyweight tag team champions to lose to juniors, which I thought they did a great job there. We had a question from Muzza. He says, do you see with Roppongi 3K challenging for the heavyweight tag team titles, that them being allowed to do more open weight clashes for heavyweight titles, i.e. the never belt, heavyweight tag, IC, etc.? And would you want to see Roppongi 3K in both tag leagues?
Well, the never weight belt is an open weight belt. So, but no, I see what you're saying. Like, maybe this would, I think we already saw the door for that kind of opened up this past year with Will Ospreay, obviously.
Yeah, and Shingo.
But like with the IC title, no. The IWGP belt, no, probably not. You know what I mean?
Right.
And actually, I kind of think that it's still going to be somewhat of an exclusive thing. It's not like every junior can just step up and challenge a heavyweight. There is still that skill disparity there. So anytime they do bring up a heavy or a junior to challenge, win or loss, that is an indication of their standing within the junior division, usually meaning that they see them as stars or someone who has a sense of credibility behind them. And, Roppongi 3K could probably get beat pretty bad by GOD, but just the fact that the company was behind them enough to even challenge is an indication of their standing within that junior division. But yeah, I would love to see them in both tag leagues, honestly.
Yeah, we need something for these tag leagues. So then we move on to the next matchup here. We have Tanahashi, Makabe, Hanma, and Liger taking on Suzuki-gun of Sabre, Suzuki, Kanemaru, and Doki. And this match was just a wild and crazy brawl all throughout. Not much happened in the ring, and then coming down, Suzuki pushes the ref down, hits the ref, hits Liger with a chair. They throw the match out, disqualification. And then Suzuki continues to go after the mask. And then he unmasks Liger. Young Lions run in to cover him up. He's biting on Liger's mask in his mouth, holding it like he just like ripped the head off of something, and kind of smiling and laughing.
Did you see his Instagram today?
No.
He had that mask, and it's on the ground. And then he's wearing his wrestling boots, and he's like hovering his foot above it, like he's gonna step on it, and like the caption just says "pray."
Oh man! And Liger, eventually kind of comes to, gets on the mic, and says that Suzuki has crossed the line.
Heated.
Yeah, vows to get his revenge. Yeah, Liger sounds really heated with these promos he had both nights, and the crowd was in absolute shock with Liger's mask coming off. And
bro, are we gonna see Keishin Liger versus Minoru Suzuki?
I think we are.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
For his final match, I don't know. That's crazy sounding.
I mean, the idea of Liger versus Suzuki was crazy sounding until they started doing this.
I was pretty convinced we were getting it. It's like so much. I thought we were getting it like way earlier in the year, and it never happened.
I mean, but I'm saying like before they even started teasing this, like I wouldn't like after Tokyo Dome, I would have never been like, oh, they're gonna start a Liger and Suzuki feud this year.
I wouldn't have expected it, but I don't know, just because I saw that like Pancrase match and all the stuff with it back then, it wasn't too surprising. But yeah, I mean, these guys have done a fantastic job building it up. Even the post show promos that they've been doing, talking about the history between them, and even like Liger's talking about the training he's been doing in preparation for this.
Yeah, he's like, Suzuki's gonna be surprised, like I'm bigger, stronger now.
Yeah, so I'm all about that stuff. Like, I'm pretty happy about it. So yeah, I can't wait.
It's great stuff.
Whenever it happens, I don't even know when that will be.
Yeah, I mean, we got King of Pro Wrestling coming around the corner, or they can just save it for the Dome. I mean, they've held it off this long. They could just continue to hold it off and do it in the Dome. Then we had Okada, Goto, and Rocky Romero defeating the team of Sanada, Shingo, and Bushi. Okada hits the Rainmaker on Bushi to get the win there. Like all multi-man LIJ matches, really good stuff here. The Shingo and Goto interactions were great here.
Yeah, they especially stood out.
Yeah, so really looking forward to that matchup next weekend in Kobe. Then we had Naito and Evil defeating the team of Jay White and Yujiro Takahashi. Evil hits the everything is evil on Yujiro Takahashi to get the win there. And then post match we had Naito. He was gonna try to hit a Destino on Jay White, but Jay White did his signature, kind of dropped down to block a signature move. And then Naito was
You mean Kenny's signature?
Well, Kenny did it out of exhaustion. Jay does it because he's a douchebag.
That's true.
And then Jay was offering the LIJ fist bump while he's on his knees, and Naito's like, "No, you got to stand up if you want to get the fist bump." And then Jay low blowed him.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't get it. Am I alone in this?
Honestly, I haven't seen much people that have been hyped for this, so I'm not hyped for it. I don't think majority of people are really hyped for it. Like I said earlier, man, I think people are just worried that Naito's losing this belt, man.
Jay White strap?
Yeah, Jay White strap next weekend could be a real possibility.
Oh, man.
Like, I've learned to never count Jay White out in a big match situation. So we'll see what happens there. Then we move on to the semi-main event of the evening. We had the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championship on the line as the champions ELP, El Phantasmo, and the Bone Soldier Taiji Ishimori take on the Birds of Prey, Will Ospreay, and Robbie Eagles. I thought this match was great. What do you think, young boy?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. it took a little while. I mean, they were given a lot of time. Like, a lot of time. I mean, how long was it? Felt long. It was like 20 minutes more.
You went 23 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah, they had a lot of time. In the early goings of the match, there was definitely... I don't know. There was a lot of that, like, Bullet Club shenanigans, the raking, and all that sort of stuff.
The top rope, back raking, the crotch, double jump up in the corner.
And that stuff's fine. But once it got going, it really got going. And this was super athletic. Like, especially, like, everybody was really impressive here, but especially some of the double team maneuvers that Robbie Eagles and Will Ospreay were busting out. Even El Phantasmo, he did that one springboard moonsault to the outside, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, him and Ishimori had some great double teams too. They have a spot they've been doing all their matches where it's a code breaker into the BME, the best moonsault ever. That's a great combo there. And yeah, El Phantasmo was just diving all over the place. All four of these guys were diving all over the place. There was that spot where Ospreay and Eagles, I thought they were going to do a cross slash. They did
I thought they were doing a cross slash too.
They did like they crossed each other and did like flip dives to the outside on Ishimori and ELP.
That was, like, to me, the moment of the match.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was really good. The only thing is, there's a couple things. They had a really good promo video, kind of detailing the history between Eagles and Ospreay and the whole Bullet Club thing, and then, El Phantasmo coming in, and, the beef between Eagles and him and Ishimori, and then the stuff that happened in Australia, and, the redemption of Robbie Eagles, and then all the stuff that happened at J-Cup. So it's like, this is a really long-term built-up storyline, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of history here. And if you're watching the match, if you want my one criticism, you wouldn't know that. Hardly at all. There's very little callbacks, very few, like, this was a super spot fest. And we love spot fest, and I'm not complaining about that, but, like, there was very little to, like, build off of what has happened to where this felt like anything more than just your junior tag team spot fest. You know what I mean? Granted, it was a really high, like, it was a very high level one because of the level of workers that were there and the amount of time they were given. But I mean, I didn't feel like they were doing a lot with the story, honestly.
Right. Well, I mean, you had Ospreay and Eagles both kind of wanted to get revenge, especially after what happened in the Super J Cup. So those guys were just kind of out to win and just beat those guys.
Yeah, I get that, but even that didn't come across to me too much. You know what? I mean, the one guy that everyone was fantastic. I think the star of the match was Robbie Eagles.
Yes. And yeah, let's talk about Eagles for a second, man, because here's a guy that we were kind of like lukewarm on during the Super Junior Tag League.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, dude. He's so much better as a babyface.
He's a fantastic
babyface. I don't know what they were doing making him a heel. Like, he's a perfect babyface. He's great at selling. His facial expressions are great. His high-flying moves are awesome. The way he targets the leg, does the 450 on the leg, the Raw Metal special. He has a lot of really cool moves. This guy's a great babyface.
Yeah, the leg work that he did to Ishimori and then later in the match to Phantasmo and the near falls he got off of that stuff, that was really fantastic. And he was like kind of making his last stand towards the end of this match on his own, and that was an excellent moment. And I get what you're saying. Like, these baby faces were angry with the heels and they wanted their comeuppance, but I'm not a big fan of the melodrama when it comes to wrestling. You know what I mean? So This almost seems backwards for me to be saying this, but sometimes when the moment is right, you kind of need a little bit of that. You know what I mean? And there was almost none of that. Like, if you hadn't, like, let's say if you hadn't seen that video, you wouldn't know. There would be no indication of, like, a past story between these guys, really. This came off like, to me, like, you could have seen this in a PWG. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I feel like that they built this up for too long. Now, I don't think that this is the final blow-off, obviously, but I just wish that I think that they had an opportunity to kind of build off of what they've done, and I don't think they were capitalizing on that enough. I think that they were missing out on an opportunity a bit with that, honestly, a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I was too enamored with the moves to really kind of pick up with that. I just
see, Jeremy. The thing with wrestling, it's not all about the moves.
I know. I'm a believer in Rich Latta's pro wrestling, which is flips, dives, V triggers, super kicks, all the high spots. So I'm all about that. So,
but the match was excellent.
I love this, man. I was 4.5 on this thing.
Oh, what? That's hot. That's kind of high.
Dude, I really love this match, man.
4.5?
Yeah, man.
Oh my God. No, I wasn't that high.
I know a lot of people were. It's gonna be all over the board. I've been seeing ratings between 4, 4.5. But yeah, I really
wrestling's so subjective. Like, if you want my opinion, like for instance, like the last like junior tag that I remember being like 4.5 was like the Bucks and Roppongi 3K, and I loved that match. And I can't put this in that kind of category, but this was an excellent. I mean, it was an excellent match. I don't know. I'd probably go close to 4. I would actually rate this a little bit higher than the tag match from the night before because it's so hard to compete with this kind of level of athleticism. Mm-hmm. But as a match and something that I actually enjoyed, I think I did like the match from the night before better. And if it hadn't had that terrible, well, I wouldn't even call it terrible, but if it hadn't had that flat finish at the end, I actually would have said that was the better match. But these are both. In a nutshell, these kind of encapsulate the difference between the heavyweight and the junior tag divisions and the styles between them. Like literally right there in a nutshell, you can kind of compare the current state of New Japan's tag team divisions.
Yeah. And I thought they did a great job teasing a potential title change here in this matchup here. But eventually it came down to the end where Robbie Eagles gets hit with the Bloody Cross and the CR2, and El Potenzo pins Eagles. Phantasmo and Ishimori retain the junior tag team titles, and then post-match, ELP gets on the mic, says that he's planning on completing the trifecta when he challenges Will Ospreay at King of Pro Wrestling for the junior heavyweight championship. So looking forward to that rematch there.
Match of the night, easily.
Yes. And then we move on to the main event of the evening. We had the hometown boy, the G1 winner, the Golden Star Kota Ibushi, defending his right to challenge for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom 14 against Kenta. And we had this match kicking off with Kenta bum rushing Ibushi, hits him with the briefcase, destroys the briefcase, gets on the mic saying that he now owns this briefcase and he's going to remodel it in Bullet Club colors. And then we kind of had a long spot of Red Shoes checking on Ibushi, calling in doctors checking on Ibushi.
This kind of reminded me of that match from New Beginning this past year with Naito and Taichi. Remember?
Where Taichi like blitzed him and they were kind of like checking on Naito. Yeah.
I don't know if this was quite that long, but it felt similar.
Yeah, it was quite a while. And then finally, Ibushi's like, yeah, I'm good to go. Doctor clears for the match to start. Bell rings. Kenta hits up a psycho knee right off the bell.
Yep.
For a crazy near fall.
Bro, I thought he lost. I thought he lost.
Yeah, that was a really close near fall. But overall, this match it just was all right.
Kenta controlled most of the match. It was him cutting off Kota Ibushi all throughout. I mean, it definitely played off of their match that they had back in Dallas in July. During that match, the majority of it was controlled by Kenta as well. The big difference here was Kenta was using nefarious means to keep Kota Ibushi down. Lots of outside, aggressive maneuvers, using the guardrails, using shortcuts, a lot of cheating, a lot of underhanded tactics. I thought Kenta looked pretty good, to be honest with you, and I thought he did a great job playing up to the crowd. But just the pacing, the timing of the match, it kind of lacked the buzz that we had for that match in July. That match in July, we were like, oh my God, dream match, Kenta's back. On this match, I was kind of like, Kenta's not winning. So I think that this is their way of like because they kind of booked themselves in the corner in the fact that like Kenta had to lose, but they weren't ready for Kenta to lose another high profile match like this. So I think that they just had him get like 95% of the offense so that he could like, I don't know, in their minds make him look stronger, but ultimately like he still lost. He still ate those Kamigoyes. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, does that make you look strong if you beat the other guy up for the majority of the fight and you can't put him away and you?
No, it makes you look like a geek. Like you were winning and then you lost.
Yeah, like I don't know.
It's like a football game. You could be like winning like the first 3 quarters and the team comes back and wins. Like that looks bad on you.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, so
and it just wasn't very exciting. Is ultimately like. It just kind of didn't click. The match had its moments. This was by no means like a bad match, but it also wasn't a great match.
Right, and from a New Japan main event,
it's one of the lower ones this year.
Yeah,
but then again, it's Destruction Tour, so it doesn't matter.
Hey, Destruction Tour, we had Kenny and Ishii last year.
Yeah, but that was like one of that was one of the real Destruction like shows. This one feels like an in between thing. Like it's not even that real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Honestly, man, you know what this match felt like to me? This felt like 2006 John Cena match. Him versus like the Great Khali or Umaga or somebody where he's literally just getting beat up the whole match, trying to get simpy on him, and then finally he hulks up, he Super Cena's up, comes back and wins.
I mean, bro, when we were watching it, I was like, is this not a Hulk Hogan? Like, this is like an 85 Boston Garden match. Like,
yeah.
You know, this is him versus like Kamala, the Ugandan giant or something like that. Like, this guy's just taking all the offense. And, you know, the only thing is Kenta really didn't ever Hulk up. We never got Murder Kota. He just kind of like caught this guy and Kamigoyed him a couple times and pinned him.
Yeah.
And you know what else? I don't think Ibushi looked very great in this match either. So to me, like, I don't think it did a favor for either guy.
Yeah.
Really. It was sort of like just something that happened, something that was there. And, you know, like it just happened and now we're moving on. And I don't really know what the point of this was. Although, you know, Ibushi did cut a pretty good promo at the end of it. And maybe that saved things a bit.
Yeah. Before we get to that promo, we also had GOD interference again, continuing the kind of story that GOD and Kenta are helping each other out in the matches.
Yeah, I forgot that even happened. Like I was content to like finish this this portion of the review and move on. I forgot that. Yeah, and when that happened, I was like, man, this is a lot of tomfoolery.
Yeah, they hit the Magic Killer on Ibushi, then they look for the Super Power Bomb, and then Ishii and Yoshihashi make the save. And then Ibushi and Kenta kind of trade strikes. Kenta hits a PK for near fall. Kenta hits a Kamigoya of his own for a near fall. Ibushi counters to go to sleep, hits a V trigger and 2 Kamigoyes to get the win.
Yep.
Isn't it funny that Ishii and Yoshihashi, these Chaos guys, come out and save a non-Chaos member so quickly, but other times the Chaos guy will be getting jumped and they're nowhere to be found?
I thought about that, but then I just explained it away. I Meltzer explained it to myself in my head, and I was just like, well, kind of makes sense because they're feuding with them. They're probably trying to get their comeuppance. But yeah, no.
Well,
absolutely.
actually. So that was the end of that matchup there. Then before Ibushi could utter a word for his promo, we had Evil appearing on stage, and then he makes his way down to the ring, and he challenges Ibushi for the G1 briefcase. I'm assuming that will happen at King of Pro Wrestling.
What were obviously you called it last week when you mentioned that the reason that Evil keeps picking up wins is to probably set up a shot at the briefcase for Evil. But I mean, what were your thoughts when he came out? Did you feel any like excitement?
I mean, I was just like, I knew it. Like he was picking up, wins this whole tour. I'm like, that's what they're heating him up for. So I'm like, when he came out, I was like, oh, that's what I expected.
Well, did you think that the crowd's reaction to this was, excitement? Or, I mean, like, did they seem really into it or kind of indifferent?
Honestly, I don't even know. Because, like, I saw Evil come out and I was, like, trying to finish up the rundown, like, start getting stuff ready for the show. Like,
I knew Evil was going to come out and challenge him, so I really didn't pay like close attention to kind of how the crowd reacted to it, to be honest. But I mean, the crowd's, New Japan fans loves Evil, and Evil and Ibushi have had some good matches in the past before, so should be a good match to have it on King of Pro Wrestling, which is already shaping up to look like a pretty good card. So, what are you thinking?
Well, I actually missed that portion. I came out during the once he was doing the promo, and so I actually didn't see the portion where he came out. So I was kind of actually more. It wasn't even so much for the show or for you guys, the listeners. More for me. I just want to get the consensus what people are thinking here. I don't see myself being very excited about this, but then again, I'm notorious for not being super high on Evil, and I know that he has his fans and he has his supporters. And it seemed to me that everyone seemed to be much higher on that match during the G1 than I was. I just thought it was okay. Like, I thought the match was but I remember people loving that match, and I was just like,
Yeah, I thought the match was pretty good.
I thought it was, but I mean, it's the G1.
Yeah. I have a question here from Muzzle. He says, do you feel that Kenta has been a bit of a flop so far? Disappointing matches with Ishii.
You're a bit of a flop.
He said, so far, disappointing matches with Ishii and Ibushi, with the possibility of Evil versus Sonata at Wrestle Kingdom. If both win, can you see those two facing off in the future in the main event of a pay-per-view? So first of all, let's talk about Kenta. Do you think he's been a flop?
No.
Yeah, I mean, with Ishii, he got his bell rung. Like, that match
was good.
Yeah, I thought a lot of people were down that match. I thought the match was really good, and obviously until Kenta got his bell rung, if he didn't get, concussed, well, I guess not concussed, but knocked loopy, whatever.
He got concussed.
I think that match would have, been better than what people thought it was going to be. And as far as this Ibushi match here, I mean, the Ibushi match in Dallas was really good. It was a great match. And obviously here, kind of like what you mentioned, like they're kind of booked themselves into a corner. You have the new never champion. You're trying to push him to look strong, but then also you have to push Ibushi to look strong. But
nothing about those Ibushi matches lead me to believe that they couldn't have like a fantastic match. Mm-hmm. This is just they're telling weird stories.
This was an odd layout,
and the other match had an odd layout. Like they chose to wrestle these matches in this very particular way. Mm-hmm. They didn't have to do that. But no, man, I don't think he's a flop. Like he's one of the most talked about guys, and most from what I've seen, like people are talking about him. The stories are revolving around him. He's got a pretty prominent role. Like I wouldn't even call those matches disappointing. Like the Ibushi match wasn't like the highest rated match I've ever seen in my life, and there were some people who didn't like love the Ishii match. But I mean, I don't know, disappointing. That seems a little crazy,
especially with all the other great matches he had in G1.
Yeah, people act like he didn't have a good G1 or something. Like this guy had a fantastic G1.
Yeah, so
I don't know. I think and you know what? I think what he's doing as a character right now is way more interesting than anything he's done in the last 5 years of his entire career. So, no, I don't think it's a flop. And I think they're going to draw money with him.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, yeah.
And then the Evil and Sonata question is, do we think that we could see Evil and Sonata facing off in the main event of a big show?
With the possibility of Evil versus Sonata at Wrestle Kingdom, if both win, can you see these two facing off in the future in the main event of it? Why would Evil and Sonata face off at Wrestle Kingdom?
Because Evil could beat Ibushi for the contract, Sonata could beat Okada for the title, and then that would give you a Sonata Evil main
event.
Would
never happen. That would never, ever, ever happen. That wouldn't draw.
Yeah.
They would never do that. Oh my God. Can you imagine like going from like years where they've had like Kenny and Okada, Jericho and Kenny, Naito and Okada. And then they're like, this year we're giving you Evil Sonata. What? The guys that won the tag titles the last 2 years in a row? Come on, dog. Like,
yeah.
They're not doing that.
But do you think these guys could face off in a main event of like a Destruction or?
Yeah. I could totally see them facing off.
New Beginning.
I could totally see them facing off in the main event of a Destruction. Hino Kuni? Sure.
Yeah.
King of Pro Wrestling? Heck no.
maybe a G1 show in one of their hometowns.
Like night like 8. Night 11. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think both of these guys. I mean, they've done a great job with Sonata. Evil has kind of been on the back burner, but
you know what? This is probably one of those things that's going to age terribly. They probably will end up like being in a huge spot once like LIJ is broken up, and they'll be big stars, and it'll draw money, and someone's going to pull this clip and be like, and I'm going to be like, yeah, these guys might. I could see them like on a Road to show.
No, by the time that happens, nobody's going to remember this episode.
That's because the show's going to not exist anymore, sir. It's going to be dead.
Wow.
You ever think about that? How long are we going to do this show? Forever?
Forever. Oh, man. Yeah, man. I'm planning to be Dave Meltzer, man.
Bro, we're going to be the #1 New Japan podcast just by, like, default, like just sheer force of will, longevity. Like we're playing the long game.
Yeah.
Like 15 years from now when we're still doing it, of course we're gonna be the best because we're gonna be the only ones that like are still doing it.
Yeah. David will be retired by the.
So yeah,
we'll have Damon like do guest spots on here.
We'll bring on like WH Park every once in a while.
But yeah, so that's Destruction in Kagoshima.
Man, what a night! What a night! I liked Beppu better.
I did as well. Yeah. So we have some more Young Lion matches coming up. Young Lion Cup matches coming up this week. Once again, these matches will all be video on demand, no commentary, and they will not be uploading the rest of the Road to card. So you just got to worry about watching the Young Lion matches. On September 18th, we have Narita versus Yumura. That should be one to keep your eyes out. We also have Connors and Coughlin. That should be another great matchup there. Then on September 19th, we have Umino versus Tsuji and Fredericks versus Richards. And then on September 20th, we have Yumura versus Coughlin and Tsuji versus Richards. And that brings us to Destruction in Kobe, which will be happening next Sunday, September 22nd. Do some quick predictions here for this card. So on this card, it's going to open up with Yumura, Tsuji, and Nagata versus Richards, Coughlin, and Nakanishi.
Yep. So that should be pretty enjoyable. I don't know. It's another New Japan dads mixing up with Young Lions. I mean, those are always good.
Yeah, I think Nagata getting the win on Richards would make the most sense here.
Yeah, I'll just go with the Nagata team because it's Nagata.
Yeah. And then we will have the two final matches of the Young Lions Cup. We will have Shota Umino versus Carl Fredericks, and we will have Ren Narita versus Clark Connors. So at this time, we have Fredericks, Umino, and Narita all 4-1 with 8 points. Clark Connors 3-2 with 6 points. So we'll see what happens this week based off the Young Lions, but clearly it looks like these are kind of like the final matches here that the winner's going to come out of one of these matches here.
I feel pretty confident. This is my official prediction. I think Narita's losing to Connors so that they can kind of end up with similar point totals. And then in the finals, Umino will beat Fredericks, and he will become the Young Lion Cup winner 2019.
Well, here's the weird thing. So, based off of the card on NJPW1972.com, the Umino Fredericks match is first.
I know. But I think that might get switched around. I have a weird feeling that that's not the correct order.
Gotcha. Those two will be flip-flop, you think?
That's my prediction, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but I still think Umino's beating Fredericks.
Yeah. Because, I mean...
I don't think Connors and Narita are winning this. Like, I don't care if they're, like, in the actual main event of the actual show. I still don't think they're winning. Like, to me, it comes down to Umino Fredericks. And I might be wrong, but I think Umino's winning. For a while, I thought it was going to be Fredericks, but I've changed my mind. I've made a concise decision. It's Umino.
I don't know. I'm kind of. I could be swayed either way, but for
I think it's these LA Dojo boys.
For entertainment purposes, I'm gonna go with Carl Fredericks getting the win and winning the overall Young Lions Cup.
Why don't you just be a real contrarian? Go with Connors.
Contrarians are elsewhere on the internet, sir. Not here on this podcast network.
No, we definitely have contrarians on this podcast network.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Fredericks. I mean, I don't know. Part of me kind of wants to do the real wild card and go Narita getting the win.
I would love it if it was Narita.
Yeah, but
I'll mark so much harder if it's Narita than anybody else.
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna go with Fredericks.
All right,
to be our 12th Young Lion Cup champion.
All right, you can be wrong, but that's all right.
Hey, if I'm wrong, just remember my predictions are for EPO entertainment purposes only, and if I'm right, then I'm just right.
Week to week, I don't even remember what I predicted.
Honestly, neither do I. I'm like watching this.
We need to do a better job, next year. We need to write this stuff down and keep track of it because I don't know what we predict.
Yeah, I'm watching the show. I'm like, what did I say again? Like, I don't even remember. But I know somebody else is probably keep it tally and keep it track.
I only remember when the match matters, and on this tour,
not much mattered.
Not much has mattered. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got Hanare, Hanma, and Makabe versus Chase, Yujiro, and Fale. I think that's Hanma.
I'll just go Bullet Club.
Yeah, Hanma eating the pin there. Then we got Rocky, Tiger Mask, and Liger, and Tanahashi versus Suzuki, Sabre, Doki, and Kanemaru.
I don't know. We going to another no decision?
Yeah, we could get another DQ win for Liger's team.
I'll just predict a DQ. I'm just going to predict it. DQ.
Okay. I'm going to predict Tanahashi pinning Doki.
Okay. That's fine. Are you happy Doki's back?
I mean, he's been fine.
That's your boy, though.
That's not my boy. I mean...
That's your boy.
He's been fun. I mean, he's done his role perfectly fine on this tour. Eating pins, being sleazy,
being fucking awesome.
Okay. I mean, I'd much rather Desperado, but gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. Or as Vince McMahon would say, it is what it is. But moving on, we have Birds of Prey, Yoshihashi, Ishii, and Ibushi versus God, Ishimori, ELP, and Kenta.
Nice. Bullet Club versus Chaos.
Yeah.
All of Chaos.
Chaos and Ibushi.
No, all 5 members of Chaos. It doesn't matter. I don't know.
I go Bullet Club again.
I'll just go Bullet Club. Yeah. Heat. We're booking this like it's a
Clash of Champions.
Like it's a WWE pay-per-view. Heat, brother.
Put all the heels over.
Yeah.
Then we have Shoyo and Okada versus Bushi, Evil, and Sonata. I'll go with Okada pinning Bushi.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with the Okada team because it's Okada. I don't know.
Then we got our 2 big matches for this show. We have Goto versus Shingo.
Shingo, baby.
I want Shingo to win, but I'm just afraid that there might be some 50-50 booking.
Now listen, Goto a geek. The G in Goto stands for geek. Shingo all the way.
Yeah, I'm going to go Shingo.
All I had to do was say an alliteration, and it got you to agree with me.
Yeah, this match is going to be awesome. This could be a strong style fight of the year candidate. But yeah, I definitely want Shingo to win and kind of work its way up the ladder there.
Speaking of award seasons, we probably need to start compiling.
Yeah, I cloned over the document for this year. So yeah, eventually we got to fill that out and start putting that together.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll get it together for you guys.
Yeah, but I'm actually kind of looking forward to the finished product and seeing how everything stacks up compared to last year.
It's going to be better because there's no elite.
Okay.
There's no Kenny.
Don't be one of these guys.
Kenny going to win match of the year. He only had 1 match this year.
He could. He could, dude. Omega Tanahashi was amazing.
Kenny Omega's going to win. He's going to continue to win awards in New Japan, not even be part of the company.
Yeah. But I don't know. Shingo and Ospreay is going to give it a run for the money. You don't think so?
Nah, my match of the year is Ibushi and Jay White.
That's another match that can give it. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of. We have some tough choices to make for match of the year.
Yeah.
Then the main event, we have the IC title match with Naito defending against Switchblade Jay White.
I don't know, man.
You know what? I'll be the one.
I'm going Jay White.
That's what I was going to do.
I'm going Jay White.
I'm going to annoy all of our LHA listeners. I'm going to go with Jay White. There's been too many times on this show where I've said Jay White's going to eat a pinfall in this match. And what happens? Blade Runner 1, 2, 3. This man, Jay White, always wins anytime I predict him to lose. So I'm going with Jay White.
I kind of feel like, okay, Naito retains, okay? Tokyo Dome's a long way away. What next? Who's he defending at King of Pro Wrestling? He doesn't have matches lined up after this. I don't have a feeling in my gut that he's going to carry this belt all the way to the Tokyo Dome. Now, I still think that if they do this double title thing, he'll be involved in some way. I don't know if he'll be in that main match on January 5th, but January 4th, he'll be in the picture. But I don't know if he's going to be holding the title. I've got a feeling he's losing the belt here to Jay White.
Yeah, I think you mentioned, I forget when we were talking about this, but you were thinking that Naito could go in,
I think he could go in and win both belts
right, like
on
he
2 consecutive
comes in
nights.
completely underdog, no belts,
Yep.
and then he walks in both nights and wins both matches.
I kind of think that's what they might do. I'm going Jay White, man.
Yep.
And I don't have high expectations for the quality of this match either. Like, I'm not very excited for it.
Yeah, Goto and Shingo, I feel, is going to blow it out the water.
I hope Naito and Jay White surprise me the same way that Ibushi and Jay White did,
Yeah.
Because I wasn't excited for that either, and it was so fantastic. But their match during G1 was just okay.
Yeah, it's kind of mid.
Nothing. Yeah, it was super mid, fire mid. Nothing about it really made me want to see them wrestle again, and this whole build has been extremely weak. Yeah.
I had a question here from Reddit user IV5277. Are we overestimating Naito's double champion prediction at Wrestle Kingdom? Also, what is a NJPW history factoid every fan should know?
Oh, Jeremy, I wish you would prepare me for this. That way I could had a factoid ready to go. I don't. What's a factoid? Ah, God, I don't know. Okay. All right. When he says overestimating Naito's double champion prediction, what do you think that means?
Like, are we? I don't know. Are people kind of over exaggerating it, maybe, or are people like too locked in on it happening?
For him, or just in general?
Maybe for him.
I think people are not. I think people are underestimating it.
Like the chances of it happening?
I think there's a large contingency of people that I keep hearing that are that don't even think that there's gonna be this mini tournament happening. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even though to me it seems like the facts are all right there. Like, you have multiple people talking about it multiple times. Ibushi at the end of this night cut a promo talking about how that's what he wanted to do. The night before, Zack Sabre mentioned how that's something he wanted to do. Even during the VTR video, they showed a picture of the IC belt and the IWGP belt side by side. Like, it's very clear that they are building to this in a very tangible way. And I don't know. I don't understand the context of this question specifically. I'm wondering if what they mean is, are we putting too much stock in him talking about it when there isn't even going to be a double title match at all? But I think very clearly they're building to
right. But I feel like a lot of people have been buying into the fact that there is going to be a double champion match.
Maybe.
Yeah. So,
but I'm wondering if his question is if this question is in fact questioning that.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if or maybe the other thing he's saying is, are people overestimating Naito because they think he's like a lock to win it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the case either. Honestly, I don't know what people's opinions are. I think that if they do this, it makes the most sense from a story perspective to do Naito. But, you know, I've been saying that for 2 years, and it just keeps not happening. So what do I know?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And then have you thought about a New Japan history fact?
No, you have to answer this too. You don't get to pass it off on me. Yo, you got a factoid? What do you think about this prediction stuff?
About the champion? I mean, I think clearly it's going to happen based on everything they're doing. I mean, if any time's in the time, like Naito, if they're going to put the belt on Naito, this needs to be it. And again, I kind of like your booking of him going in without a belt and then walking out with both belts. Yeah, and it was very interesting, too, that on Ibushi's briefcase that they have just January 4th, which makes you lean into that there's going to be an IWGP title match the first night. You could definitely think there's going to be one the second night, with it being following. So I definitely think it's going to happen. Then you got Sabre now mentioning wanting to be the Triple Crown champion. So, yeah, I mean, again, like you said, we both predicted Naito to win in G1. Didn't happen. I would think that they didn't do that so he can get this big moment here. But if not, then I'm thinking maybe Ibushi wins it all.
Possibly.
Yeah. Or Okada wins it all, and you just continue to make Okada the greatest champion of all time.
Do you have a good factoid? I think I got one. I'll give you a moment. Think hard about it.
All right.
Okay, so this is a factoid. In the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling, they have in fact had more than one main world title. In fact, they've had at least 4 different distinct recognized main world titles in their organization, not including other recognized world titles that come from outside promotions like the NWA title, like the WWF title, like the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I'm talking only distinctly titles that they recognized as their main prize. The first one was called simply the Real World's Championship, and it was the title that Frank Gotch carried, and he defended it against Inoki, and him and Inoki traded it until when he retired. He won the title back and retired with it, and then after that fact, it left the promotion. So the first title they had, the Real World's Championship. The second world title that they had in this promotion was the NWF heavyweight title, and it was also at one point known as the World Heavyweight title. This was the main title all throughout Inoki's entire mainstay as a top guy in the company from 1970, I believe, 3 until 1983. Actually, yeah, until 1983. So for 10 years, the NWF belt was the recognized title in New Japan Pro Wrestling. After that, they retired it. The third title was the first IWGP title, which is distinctly different from the IWGP title that they have now. It was something that they fought for during that was only defended against IWGP League tournament winners. It was only defended like 3 or 4 times ever, but from 1983 to 1987, it was the top prize in the company. And then from 1987 until now, the main world title has been the second incarnation of the IWGP title. So all in all, New Japan Pro Wrestling has had 4 different distinct world heavyweight titles.
Great fact. Great history lesson there.
Yeah, I don't think most people know that either.
No, I don't think they do. My factoid is Minobu Nakanishi won the 1995 Young Lions Cup.
He did.
There you go.
That's true.
There's your fun fact from me.
You know who did Ken's did what was that guy's name? Kenzo Suzuki?
Oh, the guy was in WWE.
Didn't he win a Young Lions Cup?
Did he?
I'm pretty sure he won the one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Let me take a look.
Yeah, throw it in the Google machine there.
Let's look at these Young Lion Cup winners.
Yeah, I've never actually gone back and looked at the winners. I only remember that.
Yeah, 2000 Kenzo Suzuki
Wow.
won the 2000 Young Lions Cup. You know who won the 2004 Young Lions Cup?
Yeah.
Taguchi.
Wow. 2005
winner was Goto. Yeah.
Interesting.
1994 Satoshi Kojima.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Speaking of Kojima, I tweeted out a picture of me last week wearing my Kojima shirt, and I got a like from the leader of the Bread Club, Satoshi Kojima.
Really?
Yeah.
That's because he got your money, kid.
Yeah. He was like, look at this mark. This American mark.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, good stuff there. So moving on, Super J Cup. Were you able to watch any of the Super J Cup matches?
I was absolutely able to watch some of the Super J Cup.
Right.
I unfortunately did not watch any of the Super J Cup. I was able to, I just did not do it.
Gotcha.
No, that's not true. I watched some of it with you.
Yeah, you see some of the matches that I was watching here. So we won't go into a full in-depth review of all these things since you haven't seen.
I mean, we can talk about how shitty the production was.
Yeah, let's start there. The production of these shows was absolutely terrible.
It was abysmal.
Yeah, like you mentioned, like single cam, like Young Lion Project shows
look better than this.
Way better,
bro. Okay, like no lie, these are. I don't want to like people. I know that I can be prone to hyperbole, but I don't think this is hyperbolic. I think this is fact. These are the worst produced shows from a visual standpoint that New Japan has done in like five years or maybe more. Back in the day when we didn't get full production shows from New Japan and we would just have literal single cam or maybe even like, we used to get that a lot, like on G1 nights and Best Super Junior nights, stuff like that. We would get a single cam show, maybe one side camera, and those cameras were clearer than this. And even with no commentary. And yeah, it didn't come off as big league, but you can go back and watch some of those shows and you're like, this really is. I actually used to watch those and hate it. At the time when I was like, this sucks. Like, but now going back, I can watch this. I'm like, they really weren't that bad. Actually, considering, the limitations, they were pretty good. When you compare it to this, it's bad, bro. It's really bad. It reminded me of? It reminded me of like a lot of like when we watch like some of these shindy pro wrestling shows on like Fight TV and stuff.
Dude, the House of Glory show
was better.
We watched with Bucks vs. Private Party.
Yeah.
The camera work was better.
And that was bad. That was bad too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This was like 2000. This was, well, even that, I was going to say it's like 2003, like Ring of Honor type stuff, but even that was better.
Yeah.
Bro, it's 2019. Here's the problem. This is the second largest wrestling, well, maybe not anymore, but arguably speaking, it's the second largest wrestling company in the entire world. You know what I'm saying? Like, the production has to be better. Like, I was going to show, like, I was thinking about, like, to catch up on these, I was going to show these matches to a friend of mine. And then I was like, nah, I can't. I can't be showing a non-New Japan fan these New Japan Cup shows because it does not matter how good the wrestling is. It doesn't matter how, like, great Kevin Kelly's commentary is, which we'll talk about that too. I think that's problematic as well. It just looks really bad. And we're not usually ones to get hung up on that sort of thing. Like, we'll forgive quite a bit, but, like, it can't be this bad.
Right, especially making us wait forever.
Bro, what the bro, I know, right?
Like, you wait so long and then you get this. It's like the first show, like, you had multi-cams, but it was just horrible camera angles, horrible lighting.
Angles were bad. The lighting was bad. The audio was bad.
Yeah, and then you move on to the quarterfinal. It was single cam. It's missing dives because it's only literally the only cam there. And then the final show was multicam again, but then for whatever reason the lighting in the Ultra Pyramid it didn't look like it normally does.
It's super dim.
You had all those bright yellow empty seats that were distracting.
That was a bad look too. That was a bad look. And then they had Kevin Kelly like do the commentary, and in order for them to, you know what, I don't understand why they lowered the audio on everything so that they could mix in Kevin Kelly's commentary. But they don't do that with Access, like with the Access tapings. So I don't know why they had to do that here. You know what I mean?
Well, even with the shows that Kevin Kelly taped over for Rotu when he did the English commentary.
Right.
Like
they don't do that.
Right.
Why did they have to do that here?
Maybe because how it was filmed. Like, I don't know what cameras they used to film it. I don't know how they were mixing the audio.
This is literally the worst production in I don't know how long, but it was really bad actually. It was bad.
Like, I'm pretty sure Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling has better production.
It was bro. Here's the thing. I just was like, you know what? WWE would never put this out.
Right.
If WWE ever taped something like this, they would never release it. And I know
Hidden Gems.
Bro, wouldn't even make Hidden Gems, bro. Their FCW stuff from back in the day is way better than this. This is bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. Yeah, I'm sorry. It is embarrassing. And you know what else too? To have the J Cup name
attached to it.
That is supposed to be this really big deal. And then they had all these fantastic matches.
Yeah.
They turn around, they have all these fantastic matches, and it's presented so crappy.
Honestly,
on delay.
If they knew they couldn't get Access production or Ring of Honor production, they should have just did the show in Japan.
Probably.
And just
probably.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. While we were watching it, I was wondering, I was like, well, I guess we should probably also have a discussion about some of the stuff that's been coming up with Access over the past week too. I don't know if we have that on our rundown.
Yeah, I have it in the news.
But we've gotten so many questions about the North American the North American expansion, the Western expansion, and all that. And it does make me wonder, what is the goal? What are they trying to where are they trying to go with this? You know what I mean?
Right.
How does this further their efforts? Because, dude, we've talked about missteps. In my opinion, this is a huge misstep because A, the production's really bad. B, the matches are really good, but they were delayed so far that by the time we got them, they kind of almost are irrelevant.
Right, and there's honestly there was no way to escape spoilers. If you're trying to watch Royal Quest and these Destruction shows, you were going to get spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's a bad look. It's a bad look, and it's another in a string of failures when it comes to the Western expansion. That's not to say that everything they've done has been wrong, but a lot hasn't been great. And yeah, man, it's disappointing.
Yeah. So we had a question here from Reddit user ablue3 asking what are our favorite matches of the J Cup. So I did watch the whole tournament. One of my favorite, I loved TJ. I loved TJP versus Clark Connors from the opening night. That was a really good matchup.
Oh yeah, I saw that with you. That was pretty good.
We had a question from Reddit user Zach Sabertime asking. He said just got done watching the first round of Super J Cup. What do you guys think of people booing TJ Perkins? I know he's an ex-WWE guy, but I've got no clue why people hate him that much. Or is there something I'm missing? And we've kind of touched on this when we were talking about previewing the Super J Cup and talking about TJP. TJP just kind of rubs people on the internet the wrong way.
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh, come on. But essentially, people think TJP is a douchebag, and plus, there's been other allegations.
The allegations of that, exactly what I just said, but pretty much.
But nothing's been proven. Yeah, people just don't like TJP. I mean, everybody I follow on Twitter, anytime I see TJP talked about, people just don't like him. Also, you have people who hated the whole him dabbing and his video game obsession and kind of stuff. So, for whatever reason, pick a reason. People just don't like TJP.
I didn't like him wrestling as the physical embodiment of suicide.
Yeah, one of his many masked gimmicks in TNA. But yeah, I mean, I think TJP is a great wrestler. I don't know the guy personally. He could be a douchebag. He could be whatever people are saying he is. But in the ring, I think he's a great worker. I love the fact that he's in this tournament. I like that he's getting pushed in Impact. I think he's a really solid guy to have on your roster. So I was happy seeing TJP in this tournament, and I love this Clark Connors match. And then obviously the main event of night one, Amazing Red versus Will Ospreay, was freaking incredible.
Yeah, that match was great.
Freaking marking now went 4.75 on that thing. I mean, it's just so great seeing Amazing Red in action again. And just got some memories, throwback to just watching him in TNA for all those years, and he was busting out, his infrareds and all his signature moves. He wasn't able to hit the code red in the match, but hit all his other signature spots, and him and Ospreay just had a hell of a match. So if you guys have not seen that match yet, regardless of production, this thing was still great, and it's an awesome match between those two guys.
The match was Show and
Will Ospreay, yeah, from the quarterfinal match, Show and Will Ospreay, that was another really good matchup there.
I'll tell you something. Even though it was a good match, I didn't really love that Phantasmo Dragon Lee match. I thought it was a little bit underwhelming for a final.
I thought so too, and then you had like the Bullet Club interference and stuff like that.
Another interesting thing, I'm looking at your scores. Based on what I'm seeing here from you, it looks like you weren't very impressed with Caristico in this tournament.
Yeah, man. Like Caristico, he was just kind of there. I mean, a lot of his matches didn't go too long, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I was expecting a lot more from this guy. I don't know if he was just kind of mailed it in because he wasn't winning the tournament or just because he's in the U.S. I don't know what it was. Like, I was expecting like him in the Dragon Lee match to be a lot better than what it was.
How surprised were you when Show beat Ishimori in the first round?
I was surprised, but also not surprised because I don't know if you remember, I was like, isn't it weird that they're going to beat both? Because we predicted both Show and Yo to lose the first round, but the only thing it's weird that they're going to beat both for Punky 3K in the first round. So it was surprising just how heavily pushed Ishimori is and being former champion. But at the same time, it's like I think they needed one of their Punky 3K guys to kind of go forward, and out of the both of them, they've kind of pushed Show a little bit harder, with the singles music and stuff like that. So
I remember that we got a lot wrong when it came to the predictions here, but I just want to say the one match I remember I predicted correctly, the one match for sure, because I got you to switch your thinking on it. Taguchi against Jonathan Gresham. Got that geek out of here in the first round.
Yeah. I for sure thought that, Gresham was going to move forward there, but Taguchi moves forward. And I did pretty good predicting the semi-final matches.
Did you have Phantasmo going that deep, or didn't you have Robbie Eagles?
I had Eagles. I had it being Eagles and Ospreay, but I did have Dragon Lee and Caristico. So
pretty good.
Yeah, good stuff there.
Did when you got done with this, did you feel like, wow, that was like the Super J Cup, or did you just feel like it was a bunch of like random? I don't know. When I was watching it, it just felt like a bunch of random like junior shows. Like, just kind of discombobulated.
It just felt like a bunch of matches.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Ospreay and Red obviously was amazing, but everything else it didn't feel, I mean, especially, like, I already spoiled. Like, I knew who was winning what and what the finals were going to be, and, yeah.
How about Kevin Kelly having to call it?
Oh, my gosh, yes. But I freaking died on the first night. Kevin Kelly, it was during the Rocky Romero match. He was like, Rocky, he has a lot of traveling next. Like, in a couple of days, he has to get ready to go to the UK for Royal Quest. This man had to call the show like he hadn't already called Royal Quest.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was like, oh, my gosh.
Consummate professional.
Yeah. I got shout out to Kevin Kelly, though. I think he did a good job.
I do, too.
Calling matches. I'm sure he also knew the results to everything.
But what killed it was that they lowered all the audience so you could hear him, but then you couldn't hear the audience. So then it made
it sounded super light, yeah.
So then I don't know how hot the crowds were for most of those matches. So, and I think they were into it, but it was hard to tell. It's hard to tell, especially like those first 2 nights were like really like smaller indie crowds.
Mm-hmm.
So when you lower them down and you already it already would have been hard to kind of tell, and then you lower them like that. Yeah, you don't know what you're getting. I don't know.
Yeah, but overall, I definitely do think they dropped the ball big time here at the Super J Cup. I felt like this should have been really special and could have been a highlight of the year and a highlight for the juniors, and I don't think it was that.
And it's like, Phantasmo won. They didn't really they couldn't really talk about it at Royal Quest.
Well, they did. He wore the jacket.
Oh, that's right, he did.
He came out the goal. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you watch Royal Quest, you got spoiled immediately.
I forgot. I forgot he did do that, didn't he?
Yeah, the man came out in the Super J Cup jacket.
I did like his post match antics, the stuff with Liger and all that. I thought that was pretty good. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't feel afterwards. It didn't feel like he was like this. I don't know. I'm used to like the best of Super Juniors guy like carrying out like the trophy and it being this big deal, and like it hasn't felt like that. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I felt they could have done a better job of this overall, but still a few great matches. The Ospreay, Amazing Red, like I mentioned so many times, like just
that was the match of the tournament.
Yeah, match of the tournament. Do you
think that's a junior match of the year candidate right now?
I think so.
There's a lot. There's a
lot of them. I think it barely squeaks on just because of the high quality of junior matches we've had this year.
I didn't like. I didn't like though. That wasn't Amazing Red to me. Like that guy that we saw wrestling had muscles and crap. Like Amazing Red doesn't have muscles. Amazing Red wears dirty like basketball shorts and has like a giant red bandana on and like an oversized t-shirt, and he just flips around like crazy, and he's super skinny and pale, and he has like no muscle definition. That guy in there was like kind of buff. Like I didn't like that.
Oh man, not your Amazing Red.
Not my Amazing Red. No.
Oh man, but yeah. So that
he was really impressive. Like he not only was he having a great match, but like he was doing stuff that I was like, this guy's retiring. Why?
Yeah, like literally just busting out all his signature spots. I mean,
he was incredible.
There was that like moonsault DT thing that he did, the dive out from the turnbuckle to Ospreay to the outside. There was just so many great spots that he did in that match, and looked like he never missed a beat. And I seriously hope that he reconsiders his retirement. I understand he's had neck and knee issues in the past. But if he can stay healthy, I think in today's wrestling climate, he would be a guy that all these promotions would want on their TV. So,
for sure,
yeah. Hopefully, maybe we can get him in the Best of Super Juniors next year.
Well, let's move on. Let's take some questions from the listeners. Listener 1, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
So we have, with the board, we actually could have people call in.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'd be so down for that.
Yeah.
I would treat him like Brian Alvarez does. Dude, you've got what's your question? Make it quick. A caller would like to thank you for the question.
But yeah, so question from Reddit user ablue3 says, do you think Aussie Open will be in the World Tag League?
Maybe.
I mean,
I hope so.
I mean,
but every year we hope people are going to be in it, and they never are. So hopefully,
you need a Gaijin team to replace Best Friends.
Yeah, and replace Cobb and Elgin.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Next, we have a series of questions from Sir Sam.
Sir Sam, why are you on my show right now?
He's trying to get in your head.
He's trying to get in my head for the Ricky and Clive Invitational.
Yeah. So I'm
talking all this smack. I'm gonna get beat so bad.
He says, doesn't seem like we're gonna see Moxley for a little while. When do you think he shows up next? I haven't watched Destruction. Well, Moxley will be defending that IWGP US Championship against Juice Robinson at King of Pro Wrestling. And then he says,
is that before the TV deal starts or after?
It's after.
Okay.
Then he also says, how do you think they can how can they make the seemingly inevitable Juice US title run different than the last ones? I love Juice, but he seems to be the absolute bottom champ when US champion.
Well, I mean, I feel like if he beats Mox, that would lend a lot of credibility to him, and he's taken himself so much more serious in this iteration of his, career. I think you do with him what they should have done with Bob Holly. You put the belt on him, and then he beats everybody.
Yeah, I think he needs some higher caliber opponents. He needs some more programs, some stories, some rivalries. He needs to go on a string of successful defenses, not this flip-flop stuff that they normally do with him. He needs, like you said, he needs to do the hardcore Holly. He just needs to be beating people, and he needs to be the longest reigning U.S. champion ever. And just go on a run, like all year, just beat people, Pulp Friction. And, especially with all these U.S. shows that are happening, you need the U.S. champ on these U.S. shows. So get the belt back on him, have him be on these U.S. shows, beat people, and then just make the U.S. title seem important. So, yeah, that's my game plan.
And then he had a second part to his question, said, which Chaos Jr. is more likely to win the IWGP Junior belt in 2020? Sho, Yo, or Robbie Eagles?
I think I would go with Sho. Clearly, they...
That's next year?
Yeah. 2020 is next year.
My life is just like breezing. 2020 is next year?
Yes.
God.
We're in 2019 right now.
I need to get my life in order. I got bigger things to think about than who wins the junior title in 2020. I gotta figure this stuff out, man.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess I'll just go Sho. Like I'm inclined to say Robbie.
Yeah,
but I kind of don't. I don't know if they're gonna put the title on Robbie.
I mean, they really don't push him that strong. Like when he was in Bull Club, like team with Ishimori, he was the pin eater on that team, and he was the pin eater here with Birds of Prey.
He might be the Chaos guy after Will leaves, though.
That's true.
Actually, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go Will or
Robbie.
Robbie.
I don't know. I'm gonna go Sho. I feel like we've been seeing them trying to break both those Sho and Yo out, and then Sho, he had his own music and kind of had some big highlight stories with like Shingo and stuff this year. So yeah, I think that we'll see a push of Sho next year.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the question, Sir Sam, but my answer doesn't matter because whoever wins it, and that's what's going to happen. I have no clue.
As our friend, the captain says, I'm not the booker.
Yeah, I'm not the booker.
All right.
Stop asking us these Mark questions there, Sam. We're not the booker. We don't know.
So now we're going to move on to news. So we have some names set for the New Japan Showdown show, the Showdown Tour. So we have Kota Ibushi, Jushin Thunder Liger, who will be at the San Jose event only. Juice Robinson, Kazuchika Okada, and Will Ospreay, who will both only be at San Jose. Tetsuya Naito, Evil, Sonata, Jay White, Chase Owens, Minoru Suzuki, and Lance Archer. Further talent for the card will be announced at a later date. Then for Fighting Spirit Unleashed, we have Roppongi 3K, Lance Archer, and the Rock and Roll Express. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson will be making their New Japan Pro Wrestling debuts at Fighting Spirit Unleashed.
I saw this meme the other day where it was like this little kid and he was like talking to his mom and he's like, Mom, can we go out and get, and then it had a picture of the Young Bucks. It's like, can we go out and get Young Bucks? She's like, no, we have Young Bucks at home. And then it's like, what you have at home? And there's a picture of the Rock and Roll Express.
Oh my gosh. Dude,
you have a dope shirt that says the Young Bucks and it's a
picture
of the Rock and Roll Express.
Shout out to Zach Porter who got me that shirt.
Bro, I love that shirt. I kind of want it.
But last week we had all these questions asking us about the heavyweight tag division and what needs to happen. We had some questions this week.
Oh my God.
Well, the New Japan officers for listening, and ladies and gentlemen, the Rock and Roll Express, they're coming to save the territory. They're coming to pop the house. They're going to probably challenge for the tag titles.
Bro, the Rock and Roll Express were teaming before we were born.
I know.
And we're old.
Not that old, man. Just 30.
I'm older than that.
What, 31? That's not that old.
Don't be giving away my shoot age.
But yeah, man, Rock and Roll Express, they're coming to save the territory, save this tag division.
Here's one thing I will say: they had that match with LAX at Spring Break, and they can still go. They were doing Canadian Destroyers and crap. So
yeah, they've been making a lot of indie shots and have been having pretty good matches. So I'm down for it. It should be entertaining to see who they end up going against.
This should tell you something. You're talking about New Japan Showdown. When is Showdown? That's a California tour that they're doing?
Yeah, so it's November 9th and November 11th.
But then Fighting Spirit Unleashed are the Northeast shows that are coming up. When's that?
That is like 2 weeks from now. It's the end of September.
I'm like when you first started talking about this, like I kind of forgot this all was happening. I'm like, what's happening? What? They're gonna be San Jose? When? What? Like, I don't know. I'm like, is this too much? Is this too often coming to the U.S.?
I think it is if you're not.
I think it is.
If you're not going to have the right production.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, we have no idea if these Fighting Spirit Unleashed or these New Japan Showdowns.
Well, my whole thing is this. What is the point? What's the point? Like, are you in the business of selling out 1,000-person house shows? Or are you in the business of creating content for your streaming service so that you can gain exposure and visibility? Those are two totally different things. If you want to be a local, regional, independent, like indie, like you don't have to come to America to do it, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do that in Japan. You make more money too. Like I don't understand the costs of doing this. Like if they're gonna come here, if they're gonna come to America, everything has to be tip top, like full in order. Like it had, like I mean, even if I don't know, man. Like it at least needs to be to the same level that the like UK and Australia shows were.
Right.
At the very least.
People, are quick to say, New Japan needs to sever the Ring of Honor relationship. But if they were working with ROH, they would have production. They would have all the stuff to get their stuff looking right.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, this would have been all filmed up, and, the Sinclair broadcasting team would have been on it, and they would have had all the equipment they need, and it'd be looking great.
Yeah, we be watching those, some of those early, like California shows and complaining about how the team they were with like sucked, but like meanwhile the camera quality was like flawless. It looked incredible.
Yeah.
And man, I'm like, man, I wish we had that team on this.
Yeah. So, with the Access deal up in flux, I mean, who knows if they'll be able to get any of those, for any Access production for any of these shows. So,
well, we'll see. I mean, this stuff's obviously not airing live.
Right. I mean, there's been no word of that as of yet.
And there's no word of it being on Access either.
Right. So
I don't even know, bro. I don't know if I'm New Japan, I don't know that I ever come to the States if I'm not partnering with my U.S. television rights distributor to put it on.
Right.
What's the point of coming to the U.S. if my U.S. television people can't get it on the air?
Right.
What's the point of doing it?
Right.
I don't get it.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to me. And like, I'm sure there's people who are like in San Jose who are like, no, like, shut up. Like, I want them to come. Hey, I get it. I want them to come here too. But like, I was at that CEO show last year and it's a little different, but I remember thinking like, what was the point of this?
Yeah. Well, that's Kenny,
I know it's not the same, but I'm just saying, it's a similar feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was like, this is kind of pointless.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But speaking of Fire Spirit Unleashed, details have been confirmed for the meet and greets that will be happening before the shows in Lowell, New York, and Philadelphia.
Yes.
So on September 27th in Lowell at 4 p.m., you will have the opportunity to meet Hiroshi Tanahashi, Sanada, Roppongi 3K, which is Shoyo and Rocky, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, and Robert Gibson. If you're going to be going to New York, September 28th at 4 p.m., you get the opportunity to meet Kota Ibushi, Tomohiro Ishii, Lance Archer, and referee Tiger Hattori. And then on September 29th, last day of the tour in Philadelphia, at 2 p.m., you can meet Evil and Shingo Takagi. It is $25 a ticket per wrestler. For tag teams, Roppongi 3K and Rock and Roll Express, it's $50. And those
you don't get a discount for it being a tag team. Like you would almost think like hopefully like you get like a discount like $40 for the tag team. No, you're paying the full. It's $25 per wrestler, or you're gonna pay $25 per wrestler when it's a tag team. It's the same thing.
Well, Roppongi 3K, if you get all three of them, you get a little bit discount there.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but Rock and Roll, man, they're top talent, man. You got to pay cash for that, man.
Bro, believe it or not, like I kind of almost would. Like I love the Rock and Roll Express.
So those tickets are available now.
I don't know how many more like opportunities I would ever have to see them. You know,
right? And I know I believe Zach Porter is going to New York and Philly. I think so. Wondering if he's going to hit up into these meet and greets.
Probably not. He ain't no Mark.
But yeah, the tickets for those meet and greets are available now. Also, tickets are on sale for the Showdown show in San Jose. This past week, New Japan has opened up an Instagram for the NJPW shop. You can find out about the NJPW merchandise on Instagram for a limited time only until Wrestle Kingdom 14. The account is at NJPW_shop, and it's going to be active until then. And to commemorate the birth of the official merchandise account, they are offering 10% off of all orders from the Tokon Shop online store, which is now in English. On NJPW 1972, we had a column from Toa Hanare with his Warriors Road. I was thinking about Loki there, Warriors Way. Warriors Road column that he's been doing on NJPW 1972, kind of talking about all his travels. And like they mentioned, he was over Thailand doing Muay Thai. We also have part 2 of Kota Ibushi's interview up on NJPW1972.com. Talking about his legendary plans, leaning more into the double title scenario. And then we had some more news on the Access deal. So, like we mentioned last week, Anthem, the parent company of Impact, bought Access TV, who was New Japan's U.S. partner. There have been hundreds of Access employees that were laid off, a lot of key people that brought wrestling to Access. Access used to be HDNet, and that's the former home of Ring of Honor. Used to be on HDNet, and so a guy named Adam Swift, who was the former vice president of legal affairs, he grew up a big tape trader of Japanese wrestling. He was one of the key guys to getting New Japan Pro Wrestling on Access. He's one of the biggest members who lost their job during the sale of this. And Andrew Simon, who is the CEO of Access TV Fights, he the one that greenlit the idea for New Japan in the U.S. He was also let go. And it was noted that the last quarter that ended in June marked the 8th straight quarter that New Japan's audience was up 10% or more, double-digit increases from the same quarter the previous year. And more notable because at the same time when Access coverage fell from 54 million to 50 million homes. And New Japan's current contract with Access expires in January of 2021. And all this comes from last week's Wrestling Observer newsletter.
Yeah, so that's a lot to take in. So not this January, but next January.
Yeah.
So next January is 2021.
Well, January that's coming is January 2020.
And the one after that's 2021.
Yeah.
So we're like a little, like over a year from the year 2021.
Yeah.
What's happening to our lives? No, but in all seriousness. So, I mean, I don't know, Jeremy. What are your? I had a lot of thoughts here, and then you read all that stuff, and now I'm just like kind of blanking. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Because there've been a lot of speculations, a lot of like insinuations, and a lot of things that come out over the past week when it comes to this Access deal with Anthem, and the different things surrounding it.
Right. It's going to be very interesting. So they've also Impact has announced last week that after Bound for Glory, which is happening October 20th, Impact will be on Access. They have not said what day, what time yet, but clearly getting Impact as a feature program on that channel is high priority. I do think it's very weird that they've released a lot of the people who worked on New Japan, who worked on the Ring of Honor TV in the past, people who know wrestling and who have fought to get wrestling on the channel. A lot of great PR people.
I don't think it's weird at all. I think it's totally to be expected, to be honest with you. Like, oftentimes when large media conglomerates make deals like this, they come in with a lot of overhead, a lot of costs, a lot of oversights, things like that. And they already did, and they have a track record of this. When they purchased Fight TV in the past, they laid off like everybody, and that's a lot of times like different corporations and different groups do that sort of thing. Like they'll take an investment, they'll cut off and trim as much of the fat, any like oversights, any costs that might be associated with it, no matter how much value, how good that team is, how much value they bring to the table. And they, like you said, that Dallas team is incredible. Mm-hmm. We know firsthand. We've worked with them directly, and we've corresponded with them for a while now, so we know. But ultimately, it's dollars and cents. And from dollars and cents perspective, Anthem's not going to keep them around. It's not surprising me at all. Like that's exactly what happens in these kind of mergers and these kind of buyouts. Like they get rid of redundancies. Right.
And so this is going to kind of put them in charge of what the production will look like of New Japan's show on Access. And I don't know, we still have, so we'll have all of 2020 of New Japan on Access. I don't know.
For a year.
Yeah. So, who knows? They could switch up, put Don Callis and Josh Matthews to call the Access shows instead of just using the Kevin Kelly feed.
I don't think they would do that. I that wouldn't really make a lot of sense to me for them to do that. I mean, mainly because of just this one reason. That would cost more money.
Yeah.
They already have they have New Japan doing all the work for them, and it's pre-recorded, and so I don't know why they would have them send a copy of the tape that has no commentary so that they can pay to have their own guys do additional. That doesn't. I understand some of the benefits that might be there, because you could hypothetically promote your own product on, or even whatever you want to do, whatever your intentions are. But from a money standpoint, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and there have also been a lot of rumors of potentially Impact using this as a way to kind of get New Japan to work with them and sever ties with Ring of Honor. So I just don't know if that's going to happen. I know New Japan's still very sour with Impact, what's happened with guys like Okada and Sonata and stuff like that. So
I think there's a lot of things to take into consideration when it comes to this sort of thing. Now I'm thinking about it. One thing that's really concerning to me, really concerning. I don't know if you heard they got rid of their HDNet fights or the Access TV fights.
Yeah, the Friday night fights. Yeah, which was one of the keys of the network, like one of the top things.
I've been watching HDNet for like over a decade, like going all the way back. Like obviously, you're familiar with the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I used to, dude. I watched Ring of Honor on HDNet every week, dude.
See, I didn't, but as an MMA fan, I mean, they had relationships with like Dream and Sengoku Lord, Sengoku Raiden Championships, which SRC, over in Japan, and just different, and even K1 Heroes and different groups like that back in the day. So I mean, they've been in the MMA fight game for almost a decade. I mean, they had all these different shows, and until they brought New Japan to Access, the highest rated shows that they had always were their weekly MMA shows. All these regional fight promotions here in the States, like Legacy Fighting Championships and Lion Fight and all this different stuff. And it doesn't matter how good those numbers are. They got rid of it like that.
Right.
You mentioned last week that Steve Harvey was somehow involved with raising the capital or being one of the main investors with Anthem to go in on this deal.
Yeah.
I really wonder if wrestling even is... I know that there's a benefit to this, obviously, because it's going to allow them to put their wrestling property, which they're looking to make money off of, ultimately.
Right.
But I don't know how much of this really has anything to do with like wrestling as a whole. Like, I don't know how they see WoW and New Japan. I think it's wholly possible that they might see them as just like, why do we need them? We already have a wrestling property.
Like we have our wrestling property that we own, and we're gonna push. Like, why are we gonna push these other two properties?
I have a feeling that this is way bigger than wrestling. I feel like this business move to buy this network, that they have other probably strategic plans in place to turn the network into something else entirely different from what we're, us as wrestling fans, we're all concerned about New Japan. We're all concerned about the state of the wrestling industry. These businessmen, these Anthem guys, I don't know if that's their aim or their goal or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Like I don't know how invested into professional wrestling Steve Harvey is. You know what I'm saying? Something tells me that that's not what this move to buy to buy a television station is really all about.
Yeah. But yeah, they've been quick on the promotion. They're already running Impact commercials on Access. This Friday, they're going to be airing the AAA show that happened in New York this past weekend. It was AAA and Impact teaming up together in that New York show. They're going to be airing that on Friday, 8 p.m. on Access. Lucha Brothers and LAX, that should be pretty good. But yeah, so they're already making moves. They're already getting their property out there on Access. So
my biggest concern is that when that team from Dallas was able to get New Japan greenlit and brought onto this TV station, it was something that no other company, like no other television network at the time would ever have been willing to do. And you just take a look at how hard it's been we've heard the stories over the years of how difficult professional wrestling has been to sell to different networks at different times. And even like, the industry's hot right now. And yeah, there's the stuff that's going on with AEW and with WWE. But I mean, as great as the numbers New Japan's been doing on Access, they're nowhere near the kinds of numbers that those major, companies are doing. And I think if they lose this deal, it's a really hard sell to expect them to turn around and get on any other network. Impact themselves couldn't do it.
right.
With really good production and a really good talent roster and good booking and, a good show, a really good show. They couldn't get, and a track record of success.
Yeah, Don Callis and Scott D'Amore have kind of turned things around. They've been having great pay-per-views. They've had some great talent. I mean, Lucha Brothers were there, LAX, Moose, and some of the other guys that they've been pushing. Like, they've been having some great matches and great storylines. And for all that, they still haven't been able to, they had a hard time getting on TV deal.
So I really wonder if New Japan if they lose this deal, like if they just let them run out and it goes to 2021 and they're not renewed, I don't know where they go, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough time for them to gain enough buzz. I don't think there's enough time for them to run enough of these little regional shows that they're running to turn around and be able to parlay that into some sort of television deal of any sort. So
Right.
I'm hoping like beyond hope that there's a way to where this all ends up working out to where maybe they get put into a block situation and, wrestling does become a focal point of this.
Yeah, they create like a wrestling block with Impact, New Japan, and WoW.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because, I mean,
I think if you wanted my bet right now, I think New Japan's going to lose their TV deal.
yeah, and
That's my feeling.
and that's not going to be good for Western expansion, and it's not going to be good for all these shows that they keep doing, because they cannot have that horrible production that they had for Super J Cup.
I think my biggest concern is just that team's gone.
Yeah,
That Dallas team is gone, and so what happens after that?
yeah. And will a big show like the G1 ever come back?
Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, very interesting stuff. Obviously, there's more on the story in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. You can check that out. In other Japan news, Pro Wrestling Noah is going to be running Korakuen Hall on January 4th and January 5th. January 4th show will be happening at 6:30, which will be going head-to-head with the Tokyo Dome show, New Japan. And then on January 5th, the show will be at 11:30. which will be before the New Japan show, which won't start until 4. So it was a great chance for them to bring in a lot of foreign fans and kind of draw a good house on that January 5th date. And I've seen comments from Noah saying a new war is starting. What do you think about Noah running these dates and maybe trying to somehow get in a wrestling war?
With who?
New Japan.
Oh, no. Come on. Be serious. Come on. No.
But what do you think about them running Corkin these same days at the Dome?
I think that's great for them. I think it's great for them, but, that they're late to the game. Everybody's running Corkin and running big shows in Tokyo during, Tokyo Dome weekend. I mean, I don't think it's big. I don't even think there's a story here. I think it's good for Noah. They just had that big, they just rebranded the Global League. They're calling it, the V1 or the W1 Victory?
The N1?
The N1 Victory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the whole Global League. And so that's their version of the G1. And that's, and I heard it was really successful. And there's good stuff that's going on in Noah, but, I mean, they almost died. Like, no, there's no war here.
I thought it was pretty ridiculous when I saw those comments about a wrestling war is coming or whatever they said. So
that's cool. I mean, that gets people interested and people hyped, and brand loyalty and all that is pretty important, to Puroresu. So I mean, that's cool. I like Noah. I've always liked Noah, but I don't know, a wrestling war. Come on.
Yeah. And then last thing here, Genchi, can't pronounce his first name. Genichiro Tenryu. Yeah, Tenryu. Hall of Famer and legend in Japanese wrestling, has suffered a loss of motor skills and balance due to a cerebral infraction, which came after the effects of a stroke. So Tenryu, just a wrestling legend in Japan. Thought I would just mention that and just kind of keeping him in your thoughts and prayers as he's going through some health issues. And now it's time for the recommended match of the week. So it's my turn for the recommended match. And since we are on the road to King of Pro Wrestling, I thought I'd go back to one of my favorite King of Pro Wrestling matches. And this comes from King of Pro Wrestling 2017. Tetsuya Naito versus Tomohiro Ishii. Tetsuya Naito defending his G1 briefcase against the Stone Pitbull in what was a hell of a matchup. 4.75 rated from the Wrestling Observer. One of the best matches of that year. You all already know how Naito and Ishii get down when they wrestle each other. And overall, just a really great, hard-hitting, strong style match that I really enjoyed. So check that out. Hopefully that kind of gets you ready for King of Pro Wrestling coming up next month. And that's my pick. So next week, we'll be back with a review of Destruction in Kobe. And we will be having on the winner of our G1 Climax Pick'em contest. Reddit user, Why Did You Do That, Bro? Will be here at the dojo to watch Destruction in Kobe with us and to come on the podcast and to review the show. So it should be a fun one. Any comments on that?
I'm stoked.
Clearly excited. Next week,
I didn't feel a good natural place to come in and like you were doing such a good job. I was just gonna let you do it. I have full faith in you.
Like I mentioned, we'll be doing that next week with Why Did You Do That, Bro? Reviewing Destruction in Kobe and covering all the latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On Twitter, I'm at Jeremy L. Donovan. The show is at KI Strong Style. Also follow us at Social Suplex. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/Social Suplex. You can find us in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Wrestling Squared Circle. On Reddit, I am the Pro Black Guy. Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com. Make sure you check out all the other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. On Sundays, we have One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. Of course, here on Tuesdays, you have us, Keeping It Strong Style, On Wednesdays, you have the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show from Scotland. Every other Wednesday, you have our podcast dedicated to independent wrestling. Grown men watch this shit, hosted by Jeremy Tate and Chris Bryan. On Fridays, we have Get in the Ring with Danny and Beast Mike. And on Saturdays, we have All Things Elite with Floyd Johnson Jr., Amy O, and Tiffany. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a rating and review. We'll catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.